Let me start with this. You know, before the governor came in during their campaign period, they made a whole lot of commitments, including other aspirants. Him in particular made a lot of commitments. Some of those commitments we saw as things that might not be possible. But going by the way he's working, there's one thing I give to him. There's one thing so significant and so peculiar to Peter Mba as a governor. That is the fact that he pursues his goal with energy. If he tells you he wants to do this, you see him pursuing that with energy. And that is one thing that distinguishes him from other leaders in our country. Some leaders in this country, when they make statements, they take those statements as political statements. But I feel from what is going on and the way the governor acts, that most of his actions or whatever he has promised, he takes those things into heart and works towards achieving them. We're looking at it from the perspective of his promises. One thing is making effort. When you see that somebody has promised you, maybe he made a promise that he will give you this table, and you see him doing everything possible to provide the table for you. Even if at the end of the day, he did not provide exactly this table, but something that was good, you know that this is a man that keeps to his word. So I can tell you, I may not say that he has gotten everything 100% because he's a human being, but I can tell you that when it comes to determination to do things, he has it. In fact, he's top-notch in pursuing his goals. And one of them, the issue of infrastructure. I remember when he mentioned certain things he was going to carry out. Some of us didn't see it as a possibility. And he's a kind of person that gathers so many things at the same time. If you look at the level of projects he executes, he's not concentrating on roads only, he's not concentrating on health only, he's not concentrating on education only. So even as a labor leader, I know quite well, yes, sometimes we disagree with those in public offices like government officials. But when you do something the right way, we praise you for that. So it's not like a political singing, but under the perfect statement of facts, I can tell you that his own infrastructure is grassroots oriented. And you can see that from what is happening with the smart schools and hospitals. So this is the first time we are seeing a system where the government will come to execute projects that go down the routes, or down to the ward level. We have 260 wards in the state, and when he started smart schools, in fact, we've been used to a situation where the sitting governor will start something and the will select where to do and that ends it. Then, if you come to talk, some other person will tell you, it's our own people is our own person that is there. But for him, he took it to the 260 wards, which is commendable. Then, when it comes to the issue of security, you know, insecurity has become a problem in this part of the world, even in the southeast. Initially, it wasn't that bad, but it got bad at a stage. And he came in when there was this anxiety, serious anxiety. Sit at home was still ongoing. And when he said this cannot continue this way, some people were not comfortable with that. But he insisted and pursued it until we achieved this level of calm. At least on Mondays, we still, you know, Igbos are known for their business. In fact, we survive by our own efforts. And I was also seeing it as a dangerous thing if we had continued with the system of sitting back at home for 1 week, 2 weeks. To me, it's not like you are fighting your enemy, you are fighting yourself. Because being a kind of people that live on our own efforts, if we should come out every day and sit back in the house for 1 week, the economic implication is unimaginable. So he fought against such because he knew the consequences on us. So I can give him all those parts. Then there is also this aspect of, if you look at transportation, what they have just newly commissioned, the transport routes we now have in Enugu, and the parks that look like what you can majorly see in the airports. So those things are commendable, I must tell you. So if I should start mentioning, at least we have visible things we can see.
Comrade, now you've talked about developments, you've talked about transport. Now let me ask, can you discuss the potential benefits or the economic benefits of these to the residents of Enugu State, of these 100 CNG buses that he just launched?
Of course, the benefits are very clear, because when you talk about transportation, when you understand the effects of transportation on our economy, is if there is a shift in the petroleum pump price. And that just has to do with transportation. Once there is a shift, every other thing will begin to escalate. So if there is provision for comfort in particular, when it comes to transportation, it's kudos, and the benefit will be enormous. So, and there is only one thing I personally feel, even on a good day, I'm as the chairman of the TUC and the representative of the masses, I will also will speak to him on this issue of the cost, because we know quite well, yes, considering the comfort in those vehicles, it's worth it. And but you know, our people have this mentality. We like comfort, but when it comes to spending extra dime to get the comfort, some people will say, "And I'll be in the AC." Just so you know, that kind of thing. But if we can even be sure, that is, try as much as possible to keep it at par with the normal transportation, then you spend the same money and then enjoy transportation. There is, why I'm saying it is that the amounts they placed on those things, you see some level of little shift upwards, like 100 naira or thereabouts.
Comrade, some people will argue that before the launching of these buses, that Enugu State doesn't have a transportation issue.
See, let me tell you, transportation, we don't have transportation issues. Yes, in their own government. But what do you call transportation issue? And to me, if you say we don't have transportation issue, then the transport means won't be a problem for us. We can afford it comfortably if we say we don't have an issue. But I know quite well that even since the inception of this government, when federal government removed subsidy, it became a big issue for us. So, and that is why I believe that if anybody is thinking that we don't have transportation issue, we do. And another thing is this: providing comfortable environment for whatever you are doing, even change the mentality of the people in Kenya. For instance, if you go to a park where everything is done upside down, if you want to ease yourself, you turn by the corner and start doing it. But when you look at the environment and it's decent, your brain will tell you that this is not the right thing to do. And if you look at decent transportation, it's a good, if you overseas, they have train, they have some other means that will make life easy. Some people may not understand the value now, but what I'm just looking at is that if it becomes more affordable than other means, irrespective of the comfort. For I can ask you and you tell me, considering the comfort, that they prefer it. Even the little admission will not be extra 100 naira or so. But if they can make it the same amount with normal transportation, or even lower, the importance will be felt. But if anybody is saying that we don't have transport issues, we have. You may say that there are buses everywhere, but for you to be able to even control the cost that buses charge, this is what you do. You must provide this alternative for the people. And when the transporters find out that there is alternative, that is when they will not be hiking the prices any way they like. With these buses, I believe that the rate of hike at any given time they reach, like during the Christmas period, you see transporters hiking the price of transportation. But with this, government will not have a means of moderating it.
Comrade, as a resident of Enugu State, if you are in a position to make the choice or to advise, comparing between the transportation system and the building of modern terminals and having a viable working water scheme in Enugu State, which would you have advised?
All right. You asked me as a person?
Yes, as a resident of Enugu State.
As a resident, knowing that water is one issue, one big problem we have that has defied so many solutions, I believe that that is where it touches us most. And I give it to the governor that it was one of the first projects he pursued. But I have also come to realize that what is happening in the water sector and with regards to water supply in Enugu, some people underrated the problem and thought that it's just like putting one and two together and it will give you the arithmetical answer. No, it goes beyond that. So if you ask me as a person, I can frankly tell you that if you should place the two side by side, I would take water. If we are able to get water at every nook and cranny of the state, the impact will be enormous. That does not mean that transportation is not important. That's what I'm saying. But when we put them on the basis of priority, considering the fact that water, good water supply is a problem in Enugu, people rely on tankers and all those sources. Some people even drink water from wells without knowing whether it's contaminated by some bad elements like lead and coal. Nobody knows what the consequence could be. But because people they know that this water is clean, they drink it. It may have long-term health consequences. So I know quite well that water is a big problem for us, and if it's done, kudos to government. And I know quite well also that despite all the governor's efforts, we've not seen it at the level we expected it.
Good.
And we are still expecting something better than what it is today. Because we know that the public, the masses, they are not looking at the quantity of water you generate. They are looking at the amount, the amount they can get. If you, for instance, tell me that you generate 1 billion cubic meter water, and I can't get a cup in my own area, for me, it has not started happening. Many other areas within the metropolis still do not have water. That is the truth.
Well, comrade, why do you think subsequent governments in Enugu State, and given that this governor, during campaign, promised that within 180 days in office, that he would provide a working water scheme for Enugu State, why do you think the previous governments have failed in this area?
In the first place, I think one thing they have to understand is that I'm seeing it from the fundamentals. That is why I said that it's not more of straightforward arithmetics where you add 1 to 2 and it should become 3. No, it goes beyond that. There is political aspect to it. There is also attitude aspect of it, and so many other factors. For instance, when the governor said he was going to provide water within 180 days, he didn't really know that the water system we have in Enugu has been there for many decades. For instance, the pipes, asbestos pipes, that already have been outdated, phased off completely. In fact, it has been phased off in so many areas. So now, for you to get it right, you have to go fundamental. Another thing is that why I say that there is political aspect to it is that some people, you know, there is this saying in Igbo, some people are benefiting from the water scarcity. It's creating business for some people, and they are sabotaging the process. And unfortunately for us, where those water schemes are located is always an isolated area where somebody can go in and vandalize everything and then you end it. Then who are the people that are giving the contracts? We have not actually gotten sincere people that will give us what we need. It's not a matter of those that go there to speak grammar. It's people who can sincerely get to the root. Even when former governor was there, he plunked in good amount of money, and there was no effect. So, and unfortunately, with the efforts of the governor with regards to the water supply, we are seeming to be at the same spot, just a little shift. So I think that the solution to the water problem in Enugu should come from a different perspective. When the former governor was there, it got to a point where he sent me and some other person, to go and do investigations on the project. We came back and told him plainly that what they were even putting there weren't strong enough to pump water within that vicinity, let alone the whole of Enugu. Because we saw fabricated machines that could not do much. We kept on asking, I don't want to mention the company because I'm not here to talk about them. But the summary is that I'm talking about the 9th Mile water crash program. It was an indigenous company that was given the contract. and they were just doing make-believe kind of project there. So we came back and made it clear to him that what they were doing wasn't going to supply water. We told him. In fact, we were about 3 that did that investigation, and we told him plainly. And we know quite well that we've not actually gotten the right people to do it, because it needs total overhauling. And when we talk about water supply, it is not something you see as a business per se. It is corporate. It's a kind of responsibility of government. If you see it that way, it will help us. If somebody is coming in and his only belief is that if you put in money and generate it in 1 month, no, that is not the essence of this water supply. So I must tell you that why the subsequent governments have not succeeded is that, one, there is in-house issue. Because when we got there, we even found out that the renovation work they said they were doing at they did at so many places weren't properly done. They removed some old components, repainted them and fixed back. They also went out there to maybe camp or so and fabricated some things and put there and came back to say they have repaired. So even right now as we talk, I don't know the extent of the work that has been done, but most of those things that were done, if they want to run the water scheme to work, the first thing they should do is to sit down and find out why those things are not working. There was a time also, it was discovered that those tanker people they had machineries that go about locking or vandalizing or removing, because it's such a thing that you can remove something that looks like this cup and the whole thing will stop.
All right, comrade, talking about in-house issues, will it be safe to say that the governor lacks the political will to take decisive action that is needed to weed out the bad eggs in the system and see that Enugu State enjoys water?
No, I can't say that. You know why I said I can't say that?
Let us know.
Because when he came in as a governor, one of the major things I saw, and talking as an individual now, is that he made sure that he did not give room for those I may refer to as political vultures.
Who are those you refer to as political?
Yes, some people who do not. There are people who do not have any other handwork. Their only duty.
Can you mention names?
I don't want to mention names. It's not my. That is not why I'm here. I'm not here to talk about an individual.
Describe the operation.
But collectively,
describe the
such people do not have any other thing to do. They are not practicing any other business thing. They are not running any other business except that when there is election, they will come and make a noise, show them noise value, and we will appoint them or giving contracts that they can never execute. And even if they try to execute those contracts, it will be shabbily done, and the money will go down the drain. There are people that depend on what they get from the political arena, to answer big men. They are big men, quite all right, but their big manism is not coming from their business, it's not coming from their professional pay or whatever, it's rather coming from political gimmicks. Right. So such people, I refer to them as political vultures. He made sure that most of them were shown the way out. He locked the door against most of them.
But some of them were appointed into office.
There is no way, let me tell you. I'm not speaking for government. I'm not here to speak for government.
Yes.
But I'm part of government.
We
I'm also part of the system.
Yes.
And being an indigenous of Enugu and a resident of Enugu, I'm also part of the system. So we know what is going on. There is no way you come into a system and change it hook, line, and sinker. You must have some people.
There's no way you come into a system and change it hook, line, and sinker.
Let's remove everybody.
Hold that thought. If you're just joining us, this is the insight where we extract the habit of politics, issues that affect our state and shape our nation. If you're just joining, we are speaking to Comrade Ben Asogwa, Enugu State Chairman of Nigerian Trade Union Congress. Sorry, please. Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC. Comrade.
Yeah.
We are talking about political will here. At the end of the day, the buck stops on the governor's table. It is the governor's legacy, not that of the political vultures.
Yes.
So, don't you think that the state government is not doing service to the people by not weeding out these political vultures?
What I said earlier is that the present governor has weeded out a lot of them.
But not all.
But let me tell you, do you know why you cannot weed out everybody? There are people who are strategically placed. There are people who are also by policy not meant to be removed by just I want to remove you. For instance, I'm the chairman of TUC. Assuming I'm one of the bad eggs, the governor cannot just wake up and say, leave. Some people will say he wants to manipulate TUC. Can you understand me now? So because of it, I must have to be there.
All right, comrade.
But the most he can do is to remove those that he can remove, or keep some people at a distance. But what I can tell you for sure is that some of them underrated the problem we have in the water sector. Some of them underrated it. So they felt it's just a matter of having that decision to pump in their hands and force some actions, not knowing that there are people that must sabotage the process, and if you did not checkmate them, you will run back to square zero. To the extent that some of them, let me tell you, you saw the water galleries they built in Enugu. Which one? How many of them? Have you seen any of them work?
I have not seen.
Do you know that some people, when they put all those things there, some people went to those taps and removed all the noses. They could have sold them 5 naira or 2 naira. You see, one thing is that we should also change our character, our attitude. We shouldn't see certain things as far. See, most of those things they are doing, if we don't know that they don't belong to them, we will always think we are fighting them by destroying what belongs to us either. Because one, even if there is no drop of water in anywhere, as a governor, he will get water to drink. We should know that. Even if there is no insecurity, if there is insecurity everywhere in Enugu, as a governor, he will be protected. Therefore, anything we can do to conserve the little we have is very important. They built water galleries, and I know that well that it didn't take time, and people went to those places, cutting away the nozzles.
All right. On that note, comrade, if I don't know you, I would think that maybe the government sent you to speak for them.
Because I'm finding this way today. Yes, but I must be
if we are talking about national issues, I would say maybe you started to sound like the Bayo Ononugas.
But let me tell you, that doesn't still mean that we don't have areas where we try to say,
can we hear about those areas?
Okay, let me give you an instance. When the governor came in, actually, and we were talking about wage award, he was one of the first governors that pronounced wage award, and he said in his own, you continue earning it until you transit to minimum wage. We got minimum wage. He said it was going to be 80,000 naira, and we clapped. See where we now started frowning. When it got to consequential adjustment, when it got to consequential adjustment, and they could not allow us to do consequential adjustment, we became unhappy. And up to date, we've been presenting it. We've been saying, if we did not do consequential adjustment, we will not take it that this minimum wage is complete. It's like, though a table can these days stand with one leg, but I would have said it's like a one-legged table, but we can see one-legged table standing.
So where are we at this moment?
So at this point, I'm saying that we got minimum wage, but we didn't get consequential adjustment. We didn't have to clap and say you've gotten it right because no, when we didn't do the best for us, we say it's not the best. Then I was also telling you that for the transportation, it is fantastic, it's good, but they have to make it cheaper. If they don't make it cheaper than the regular transportation, then the impact will not be felt. We know that it's more comfortable. You go in and sit decently. It's air conditioned and wonderful. But if we didn't make it at least a little cheaper than the regular transportation, then an ordinary person like me will not see the reason to spend extra 15 naira or 100 naira because you said I will get AC.
All right. On that note, comrade, let's move up a bit for lack of time. It's been raining endorsements. We've seen opposition governors, opposition politicians endorsing the president. What is your view about this? For the what does it portend for the nation?
It tells you the danger we have in the system, the rot. Because in the first place, when you see opposition adopting without any categorical reason, you know that they are just looking for political protection. Because a good number of them, if you look at the way the system is running, for instance, you talk about federal government, most of the policies they are churning out are anti-people policies. We know that. And we've not seen any of those people that are doing endorsement to say these religions you are doing, these policies are not going down well with us.
All right, comrade. We'll go on a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth, and innovation. From breaking news to inspiring documentaries, from grassroots traditions, mysteries of life to global perspectives, we'll tell your stories. We amplify your voice and your vision. With every screen we light up, we connect, inform, and empower. It's more than a television. This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
All right, you're still watching The Insight on Aneke TV, where we x-ray the heartbeat of politics, issues that affect us in the state and shape our nation. We are speaking with Comrade Ben Asogwa, Enugu State Chairman of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC. Comrade.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been an interesting conversation. But we're talking about endorsements. And I've heard the governor commend the president. Do you see this governor defecting to APC?
Well, if I say that I'm not a politician, you may doubt me. But by the meaning of being a politician, I don't think I'm one. I'm just a labor leader. And I'm not Peter
Based on your observation. Like I've seen you speak eloquently about the president. Some have the view that some of these commissioning of projects, moving to the senatorial zones, are preparatory to defection.
Okay, so if I talk now, they will say, maybe I'm speaking for the governor. But if you didn't
speak your mind,
I don't see this as preparatory to defection. I would rather see it as preparatory to. But one thing is this: I know the governor may defect to APC at any time. He didn't ask me to speak for him. I'm not speaking for him.
Good.
It is very possible.
Now, let's assume,
considering the fact that even his own house is leaking terribly, let's face the truth. What is the status of PDP today? Some individuals have hijacked PDP. It's no more like, in fact, the center can no more hold in PDP, and that is his own political party. So, if he has anything to do with regards to 2027 election, is he sure of the house he belongs to, his own family called PDP? The umbrella is already tearing. So if he starts seeking for shelter elsewhere, I may be surprised. But what they will have to know is that, whenever any action is taken by any individual, for instance, as I'm talking here, maybe before I leave here, some people say, he's not in the period of
I've said that you sound like you were sent by the governor.
No, but for me as a person, I'm not looking at the projects he's running. They are good enough. But when we start looking at the analysis of what he took and all that, that is a different issue. But when it now comes to the issue of defection, I will not be surprised if he defects. And if he defects, I know that it might not just be that he would like to defect, that he had wanted to defect as an ordinary person, but because of the fact that even his political party is almost in a state of moribund, and some individuals I wouldn't want to mention, not out of fear, but because I'm not here to discuss them, are already guiding the party. So he may have the tendency of running to the APC. And let me tell you one other thing. You know that what the presidency is doing is more of killing oppositions. They are gradually strangulating all the opposition parties. And when they end up strangulating opposition, what are they doing? To ensure that there is no opposing force.
And that's a danger. That's a danger for the nation.
It's a very dangerous thing for politics. In fact, what they are doing is it's not what I can describe. We only want the person.
Comrade, as a trade unionist, let's assess the performance of this president via his numerous travels, his numerous trips out of the country. In fact, the opposition has said that he's the most traveled president in the history of Nigeria since 1999, the return to democracy. According to them, since the 26 months that he's been in office, he has left the country for 40 times, about 180 times.
Let me tell you, you know, Buhari set a record in terms of being a diaspora president. But Tinubu broke the record within a short period. That is just it. Even as we talk, if you hear that he's back to Nigeria tomorrow, the next, in fact, we have gotten to a point where we are now used to the president being out of the country. If we talk about his performance, we cannot hold any particular thing. In terms of security, we cannot say that the president has improved the security system of Nigeria. If we talk about our economy, after removing fuel subsidy, remember that when the president removed subsidy, he made us to believe that it was a move towards restoring our economic system. Today, we are still borrowing. You saw what happened when they went for this program where Japan invited African nations. And Japan was promising, I think, about 5.5 billion US dollars loan or whatever. And after that, you come back to, by the time he comes back, you see them preparing for another loan. Nigeria has borrowed even more than before, even after removing fuel subsidy. We've not seen drastic change in education. We've not seen drastic change in security. We've not seen drastic change in health or any other strategic system in Nigeria. Even the electoral process in Nigeria has been eroded completely. When they brought beavers, some people thought that Daniel has come to judgment. But look at the situation we are facing. In fact, as you are here, can you tell me that you have any atom of confidence on the electoral empire? Knowing fully well that even as oppositions or parties are coming together trying to know what to do, have they talked about the processes? Because you may just be preparing on how to ensure that you win election. Is it not an election holds? By the time you are busy mobilizing people and they are busy announcing results, what will not be the outcome? So the way the president is going, if we depend on his performance, he shouldn't even talk about 2027. We don't seem to have a blueprint of what the government is doing and what the government intends to do. What we see is that whatever comes up becomes a project for government. So can we really say that these are the things we have seen improve? Even when we know quite well that the removal of fuel subsidy preserves a lot of money for government to do certain projects. And can we see it happen? A lot of projects they do these days are just sharing of money. Either they are substandard or not even done. They are done on paper. And let me tell you, let me open one part. It was because of these people that we are doing what it doesn't obtain anywhere in the world. It's only in Nigeria that we have our currency running in different notes. When you bring 1,000, you have two different notes of 1,000. You bring 500, you have two different notes of 500. 200 naira, the same thing. Where is it done that you come to a particular country, bring the denomination of their currency and see it in different forms, and they are both genuine legal tender? So that tells you the level of aberration we already have. So his government will always be remembered as a government that launched us into running different notes of our currency at the same time, and they are both genuine. You can't go to US and see US dollar, maybe 100 US dollar. You see it in different forms. One
comrade,
white,
as a unionist, as a trade union leader, have you raised that concern?
Of course, we have. Even you remember that when this government came in, we started having multiple issues with them, starting from fuel subsidy removal. In fact, from Eagle Square, when the president was sworn in, he drew a battle line by the pronouncement he made. You remember that even NLC chairman, our president rather, was beaten up. We've had issues where they even, you see, the decay we have is such that some people will open their mouth and blame the delegates. We are not running the country. We are only a pressure group. And there is a limit to what we can do if everybody chooses to do the wrong thing. When it's time for election, people will cast votes based on tribe. They will cast votes based on religion. They will collect one useless bag of small sachet of rice, thinking that will sustain them. And the wrapper that doesn't last up to 6 months and it will turn brown. They will collect all those things and vote whoever and protect illegality in elections. And come back to talk to us. Labour, you are not doing this one. How can you bring the lizard and tell us to train it to become crocodile? It's not possible.
All right, comrade. At this time, let's look at the coalition. Given the recent shifts, the rebirth of PDP, the alliances, how do you see the impact of these alliances? How do you think it will impact 2027 election?
You know why I'm afraid?
No.
The way and manner, the body language of the presidency and those in power, if I may say, does not suggest that they will allow free and fair election. And once you fail to allow free and fair election, every other thing becomes an issue. We'll start having issues. And let me also tell you one dangerous thing about the coalition. Coalition would have been fantastic. By the way, what gave birth to APC was coming together. Whether you call it coalition or alliance or any name you give to it, it is still the same coming together as different political parties that formed APC, and that made them to gather enough force to defeat Jonathan. But I can tell you that APC learned from what happens to Jonathan PDP, Jonathan's period. They learned from it and how to block every loophole that will allow it to happen to them, whether by crook or hook.
In other words, comrade, you don't see the coalition as a viable vehicle.
Do you know why I don't? Because there are some people that are already pushing for their usual selfish interests. Some people believe they must become the president of this country at all costs.
You're already seeing crack in the coalition?
That is my fear. Because when those people that are now jumping and singing the songs of coalition, by the time they finish singing the song, if some of them, if they are not picked, they will run to another party. Do they have that cohesive force that will hold them together, even if maybe the person you didn't expect or leave this? I think I wouldn't want to mention him. Yes, but do you think that somebody like Atiku Abubakar would wait for anybody to collect the ticket? He's fighting it and to collect it. And if he collects it, some other people will not be ready to work with him. And that will be the end.
Comrade, now that you've mentioned Atiku Abubakar, let me postulate a bit. Let's paint a picture where Atiku Abubakar is on the ballot. And then, with the rebirth, in quotes, of the PDP, and like we've heard recently in numerous newspaper headlines, that PDP wants the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, to be their flag bearer. Then, there is a P2B of the Labour Party. Do you think there is a pathway for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to still win in 2027?
In the first place, to unseat somebody like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you don't need disintegrated forces. Disintegrated forces cannot remove him. It can only be possible if, one, you look at the whole system and bring out a person that people, at least the majority of the people, believe in.
Comrade.
That is wrong.
Comrade, let me hold your thoughts.
Jonathan,
Comrade, hold your thoughts. Let's look at Atiku that commands the Muslim North. A P2B that's in charge of the Southeast. A Goodluck Jonathan from the South. And, of course, we expect the president to win the Southwest. Do you still see a pathway for him in 2027? Via what you describe as a discordant opposition.
All right. In the first place, how did he emerge? In the previous election, you just want me to bring out the man behind the masquerade. But how did he emerge?
This is insight.
So
in insight, we were straight.
So why I say why I ask this question is this: if the president could emerge, even when he wasn't the president, If he could influence so many things and pull the trigger to the extent of turning so many things around. Remember that before the 2022 election, we thought that for just somebody to emerge as the president of this country, you must have certain percentage of votes from Abuja. Because as the president of Nigeria, you're also the governor of Abuja. But all those things, the judiciary told them. They told us that, because you know the law is like two faces of a coin. You can turn it this way and interpret it, turn it the other way and interpret. And the interpretation may not be said, yet it's the same law.
All right.
So what I'm trying to say in effect is that you have calculated based on these factors. But there is a big factor that we haven't considered,
which is
the role of Aneke in the election and the influence of the presidency. We don't even have anything independence. The independence of Aneke is existing on paper.
The independence of Aneke?
Yes, it's existing on paper, because if you look at the situation, they say that he that pays the piper dictates the tune. It is still...
In other words, comrade, you're not seeing a free and fair election in 2023.
That is my fear, because we expected free and fair election in 2023. When it became very clear that some people were not going to have their way, you know what's happened. Who told you that 2027 will not be different? The same person in question who could do it to that extent when he wasn't the president is now the sitting president. So I'm not saying that it's not possible to put him aside. It is. But for them to be able to do it, they must remove selfishness. And that is one thing I don't see happening. If I were Jonathan, good luck Jonathan, I would respect myself. I'm sorry to say this. In fact, he has better honor for what he did in 2015. And if he wants to sink the honor, let him say he's contesting under PDP. Some of them want to bring him and mock him again. And by the time they rubbish him, the glory he has already will be gone. And he may not regain it again.
All right, comrade, let's...
So he had the opportunity to fix Nigeria. He did what he was able to do. Let him just be a very serious statement that he is. And put it at that point. Coming out to contest election again. And then I don't see it becoming a reality. Him coming back. Does he think that Nigeria is like US, where Trump finished the term, lost, somebody was there again, and he came in as an opposition and still won? It's possible, but it doesn't come that easy. Especially when it wasn't everybody that clapped for Jonathan. And let me tell you, the way the country is, Jonathan may not have much to change if he comes in. Yes, you may think that if he comes in, he will do this one and do that. He may not. So I believe quite well that even the confusion in PDP may not allow, in fact, there may be an automatic effect. The automatic effect may be that it's PDP inside, within PDP that will destroy him if he comes out. Because one thing we have to understand is that nobody is even talking about political parties. We now look at so many other things beyond political parties.
Such as
the individual.
All right,
if you look at what happened in the previous election, somebody like Peter Obi, who was underrated and the party was said not to have any structure, became a major contender.
All right, comrade, now that you've mentioned Peter Obi supporters see him as a viable alternative to the current administration. How do you respond to critics who say he's not ready for the presidency?
Yes, he may not be ready for the presidency for certain reasons, according to their own feelings. Some of them believe that for you to be ready for presidency, you must negotiate it with them. They are the people to tell you the conditions. That may be the reason they feel he's not ready for presidency. Some of them may believe that whoever they say is not going to be president can never be president. That is because the system doesn't work properly. If we have a proper electoral system, nobody will say that, because you know that whoever the people want will be there. So as for Peter Obi, yes, he's a human being. He may have his own shortcomings. The critics there, they are doing their own business. You know, there are people in politics whose business is to run down whoever comes in. If you come in as an opposition, they will go and download your data, exaggerate it. They will just amplify one weakness and make it bolder than anything. Add so many condiments to it.
All right,
and make it look
good. We're out of time. But before I let you go, one word. Do you think this is the right time to increase the salary of political office holders? In one word.
It's an insult on Nigerian people. It's an insult on the masses. If you can think of adding to their own. We heard when they were arguing that the president's salary is 1.5 million naira. Is that all? Well, then let's talk about wardrobe allowance. Let's talk about security votes. Let's talk about every other thing that is attached to the presidency.
I'm sorry, Comrade, we're out of time. This is where we'll draw the curtain on the insight today. You've heard from an expert analyst, a man who is involved in shaping these policies, an opinion leader, a labor leader, Comrade Ben Asogwa. He's the Enugu State Chairman of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC. Comrade, it's been wonderful speaking to you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
At this point, to you viewers who's been with us, remember, your voice matters. So let us know how you feel about these issues, or the issues that you think we should raise on the insight. Remember, this is a program where we explore the habits of politics, the issues that shape our nation. Reach us with the hashtag The Insight on our social media handles at Aneke TV on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you. Until come your way again, same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth, and innovation.
Took center stage at the just concluded 4th Enugu Diocesan Synod held at the Holy Ghost Cathedral, Enugu. Under the theme, The Problem of Osu and Ohu in Our Communities and the Amadi Diala Linkage, Uniting God's Igbo Children, Njikozi Igbo Umochukwu. The gathering drew clergy, laity, and traditional leaders into an honest confrontation with one of the region's most enduring social challenges. The Emeritus Archbishop of Owerri and the head of Owerri Metropolitan See, Most Reverend Anthony J.V. Obinna, delivered the landmark paper tracing the historical roots, distortions, and human rights implications of the caste system. He described the hierarchy as an ancient but harmful legacy that contradicts Christian teachings and modern understanding of human dignity. Despite centuries of Christianity and legal reforms, Archbishop Obinna observed that discrimination persists in marriage, chieftaincy selection, and land ownership. He highlighted institutional efforts to tackle the problem, including the 2022 Joint Pastoral Directive by Catholic bishops in Onitsha and Owerri, which condemned caste segregation as obnoxious and incompatible with the Christian faith. He also referenced the 1956 abolition of the Osu designation by the Eastern Nigeria House of Assembly, noting that enforcement across Igbo states remains inconsistent. Human rights organizations like Pillars of Hope Africa Initiative have assisted traditional rulers in formally abolishing the caste system in parts of Imo State. The Archbishop outlined key social labels, Osu individuals historically dedicated to deities, Ohu, those bought or captured as slaves or considered strangers, Amadi Diala, the so-called freeborn, often upholding discriminatory barriers, and Ume, a lesser-known category associated with alleged early death in some areas, facing harsh stigmatization. He stressed that while definitions vary, all these labels share a legacy of exclusion and social stigma. Archbishop Obinna urged all Ndibo, regardless of caste label, to reclaim their God-given identity. The Amadi Diala, he said, must renounce claims of superiority, while Osu and Ohu and Ume should reject feelings of inferiority. True reform, he emphasized, requires heartfelt repentance, personal and communal, not just formal declarations. He outlined 5 steps towards healing: reject false caste identities, renounce derogatory attitudes and joke, confess past wrongs, resolve to end divisive practices, and embrace forgiveness rooted in love and humility. Only through sustained repentance, the Archbishop said, can Ndibo break free from centuries of inherited prejudice. The Enugu Synod's engagement with the Osu-Ohu question represented a significant moment for Igbo society. By confronting discrimination openly, the Holy Ghost Cathedral has set a blueprint for reform, inspiring communities across Igbo land to uphold dignity, unity, and equality under God.
Beauty is not a mirror's gift. It lives deeper in how we listen, how we love, how we live. It's the kindness that lingers and the courage that doesn't quit. The world may sell perfection, but real beauty is flawed, fierce, and free. It's in stretch marks and smile lines, in stories and scars. When you see someone who glows, it's not their skin, it's their soul breaking through. That's beauty. Raw, radiant, and real. God. God is not far. He is in the stillness after the chaos, in the laughter of children, in the stranger who smiled at you for no reason. He is not confined to buildings or books. He walks with us in dust and rain, in heartbreak and healing. He is the answer before we even speak. To seek God is to seek love, and to find God, truly find Him, is to love deeper, live fuller, and give without counting.
From the tiniest cells to the farthest galaxies, life holds secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Why are we here? What connects us all? What unseen forces shape our destiny? Join Professor Jude Udenta as he explores the wonders, the questions, and the revelations that define existence. Mysteries of life, where every answer sparks a new discovery. Watch now on Aneke TV every Monday.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
With the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Speaking at the 4th Enugu Diocesan Synod held at Holy Ghost Cathedral, Enugu, Mr. Obi described the church as a vital institution for moral formation, stressing that education without values cannot build a stable and progressive society. He expressed concern over deepening poverty and insecurity across the country, linking them to the growing number of idle and unemployed youth. Mr. Obi urged churches to intensify skills development, mentorship, and entrepreneurship support for young people. The former governor also criticized the celebration of corrupt public officials in religious spaces, insisting that the church must promote accountability and uphold ethical standards. Highlighting Nigeria's vast uncultivated farmland, Mr. Obi called for greater youth involvement in agriculture to boost food security, drawing comparisons with smaller nations achieving higher productivity. He concluded by urging religious institutions to return to their core mission of raising disciplined, value-driven, and productive citizens capable of transforming the nation over the next 2 decades. I'm Deborah Wakoba, Aneke TV News. Inside the Holy Ghost Cathedral in Enugu, celebration and spiritual transition as 14 young men answer a lifelong call to the Catholic priesthood. But beyond the liturgical beauty, the ceremony also became a moment of sober reflection. Archbishop Michael Crotty, the papal representative to Nigeria, praised the Diocese of Enugu for successfully concluding its fourth synod, a major consultation where the faithful openly voiced concerns about how the church is being shepherded. One concern stood out: the misuse of clerical authority. The nuncio said many Catholics are stepping back from church life because of experiences with priests who display arrogance, seek financial power, or ignore those they serve. Actions he described as spiritually damaging. He told the new priest that their vows are a commitment to serve, not to dominate, to lift up the broken-hearted, and to bring hope where people feel abandoned. He urged them to stay united with their bishop, support one another as brothers, and resist the temptation of materialism, quoting Christ's charge to carry no purse, no bag, no sandals. For the Diocese of Enugu, these ordinations come with renewed expectations that this new priest will rebuild community, deepen pastoral care, and embody a church that listens to its people.
I am glad that this ordination ceremony today is taking place in the context of the Fourth Synod of your diocese, focused on the practice of faith in Enugu Diocese, opportunities and challenges. Yes, every challenge that we encounter is but an opportunity for God's grace. It is an opportunity.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakoba. And now to the headlines. Nigeria demands immediate restoration of constitutional order in Guinea-Bissau. Federal government unveils real-time digital dashboard to strengthen anti-trafficking efforts. Finance Minister Wale Dun presides over meeting ratifying new customs management appointments. Cross River State records 800 cases in 11 months, secures only 5 convictions. Zamfara State First Lady flags off 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Anambra State government intensifies enforcement of no street trading policy. And now to the details of the news. Nigeria has strongly condemned the military coup in Guinea-Bissau, describing it as an unacceptable assault on constitutional rule in West Africa. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs expressed deep concern over the violent takeover that occurred just days after the country's general elections, insisting that military interference poses a grave threat to regional stability. The federal government said the development clearly violates the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, which prohibits unconstitutional changes of government. It demanded immediate and unconditional restoration of civilian authority and urged the coup leaders to respect democratic institutions and processes. Report from Bissau indicates that General Dennis Nkana has taken control, shut the borders, and suspended the electoral process, while President Umaru Embalo has confirmed his removal. Nigeria warned that those responsible will be held accountable and pledged collaboration with ECOWAS, the African Union, and international partners to ensure a prompt return to constitutional order. The federal government has intensified its fight against human trafficking with the launch of the National Counter-Trafficking Dashboard by NAPTIF. And Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, hailed the platform as a major innovation for Africa, offering real-time data to boost coordination, transparency, and accountability in anti-trafficking operations. Fagbemi, however, expressed concern over Nigerians' retention on Tier 2 of the U.S. Trafficking in Persons report, noting persistent gaps in victim support, screening procedures, and corruption within law enforcement and judicial systems. He said stronger collaboration among stakeholders is needed to improve the country's rating in the next assessment cycle. NAPTIP Director General Binta Bello disclosed that between January and early November 2025, the agency recorded 802 cases, rescued 1,839 victims, arrested 872 suspects, and secured 67 judgments involving 85 convictions. She outlined new measures, including rigorous officer training, swift prosecution of complicit officials, and full rollout of the victims, trust fund to aid rehabilitation and reintegration. The commander of 6th Brigade Sector 3 Operation Werstroke, Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa, has warned residents of Ibi local government area of Taraba State against actions capable of sparking communal conflicts. He condemned reports of individuals preventing farmers from harvesting crops and said such provocations will attract decisive military response. General Uwa emphasized that security agencies will not tolerate conduct that threatens the fragile peace in the area. He urged community leaders to support ongoing security operations, promote dialogue, and curb misinformation capable of heightening tensions among residents. Meanwhile, the Catholic Diocese of Wukari has renewed its appeal to the federal government over increasing attacks on farming communities in southern Taraba. The diocese reported more than 50 recent killings and said decades of violence have claimed over 3,000 lives, destroyed 335 communities, and displaced more than 300,000 residents. It accused heavily armed herders of occupying farmlands and called for urgent national intervention. The Nigeria Customs Service Board has approved the elevation of 5 Deputy Comptroller Generals and 8 Assistant Comptroller Generals at its 64th regular meeting chaired by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun. The ministry said the promotions align with the Customs Act 2023 and reflect the federal character principles guiding public service appointments. The board also approved special promotion for 10 officers recognized for exceptional dedication, revenue performance, and contributions to national security. Government officials say the exercise is part of efforts to strengthen leadership capability and ensure structured career progression within the service. The federal government expressed confidence that the new senior cadre will support its push for a modernized, technology-driven customs service. It noted that improved border operations, better trade facilitation, and transparent revenue collection are central to Nigeria's economic diversification goals, particularly under the African Continental Free Trade Area. In Enugu, the Civil Defense Officers' Wives Association has launched a fresh push to support families of security personnel, empowering 50 women with new revenue-generating skills in a bid to strengthen household income and improve overall family welfare. Aneke TV correspondent tells us more. The Civil Defense Officers' Wives Association Sidowa Enugu State Command has empowered 50 women with revenue-generating skills aimed at strengthening household income and improving family welfare. At the presentation of Starter Pack, Sidowa chairperson Dr. Josephine Willie said the initiative would have far-reaching impact on families, on serving personnel, and the wider community. She noted that in its first year, the association had conducted medical outreaches, implemented back-to-school programs, and offered financial support to widows and widowers of the command.
Sidoa, peace at home and peace in the nation. Sidoa exists to support the betterment of women in our society and by extension, the well-being of our families. We stand alongside our husbands who daily dedicate themselves to upholding the sovereignty, peace, and law and order of our nation. Since our inauguration 1 year ago, we have executed several impactful community projects, including medical outreaches and back-to-school programs, and in all collaboration with other organizations. Even with the Ministry of Gender in Enugu here, we partnered with the Ministry of Humanitarian Service and every other organization around. They've been of help to us, and we acknowledge them this morning. Since our inauguration 1 year ago, we have executed several impactful programs, and we have mentioned some of them: medical outreaches, reaching out to children, reaching out to the widows, and resource widows and widowers, and that's what we've done as an organization. Today, our team is empowering a woman. Empowering a woman is empowering a nation.
Dr. Willie stressed that women's empowerment drives economic stability, enhances inclusion, and uplifts living standards. She thanked the national president of CDOA, Hajia Aisha Woody, and the NSCDC Enugu Command for the support. In a remark, the Enugu State NSCDC Commandant Dr. Elijah Willie commended the association progress, noting that empowered women contribute to positive transformation from the family level to the broader society. He reaffirmed the command's commitment to supporting CDOA initiatives. Representatives of NAFOA, POA, and NAOA were also present.
Representative of NAOA, ably represented, welcome. The representative of NAFOA, she has always been here. She's not new to many faces here. Anytime you don't see her here, she has traveled to Abuja. But I don't know how we've not caught her in Abuja. And the representative of POA. These are great bodies that we are trying to copy. We are trying to mentor after. I want to stress how delighted we are to receiving you.
A health awareness session delivered by Dr. Chinwe Wankwo of ASU Teaching Hospital urged women to prioritize rest, exercise, balanced nutrition, and regular medical checkups, including cervical cancer screening and blood pressure monitoring.
If you check in most households, women are the last people to go to bed, and they are the first to get up in the morning. Don't they need the same rest like the other people? They do, because we have the same bodies, we have the same biological functions, and we even need rest more because we do most of the work. So most times we care for our families, we build our communities, we support everyone around us, often forgetting our health. And our health is the foundation that allows us to do all these activities. We need to prioritize our regular checkups. We need to listen to our bodies. We need to seek medical care. We need to check our blood sugars, our blood pressures. We need to take regular rest and remember to take care of ourselves. We need to get screened, and we need to maintain a good and balanced lifestyle. Remember that knowledge is power, and understanding our bodies empowers us to make better decisions. When a woman is healthy, her family and community is healthy. Remember what
a beneficiary, Mrs. S. Henshaw, praised CDOA for the training and starter pack, saying it would help her build a sustainable enterprise to support her family.
We were looking at it very far away, but today we are here. It's a success. I really give God the glory for giving me the great opportunity to be a part of this program today. Indeed, I have learned so much. I am happy. I don't at all regret my coming.
Hello, peace in the nation.
I never thought I would be a part, but here I am. So to God be all the glory. I'm taking this message back all the way to Cross River State. I know it will make more meaning. I never in my wildest imagination thought I would be part of those that will benefit by His grace. He did it.
The training covered perfume and air freshener production, confectionery, bead making, modern farming methods, and agro-allied processing. The event also featured practical demonstrations and an end-of-year get-together. Still on the news, former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Timi Persilva has asked the EFCC to reschedule his appearance over an alleged $14.8 million fraud case, citing a life-threatening medical condition that requires urgent treatment. Silva said he had previously cooperated fully with investigators and was granted administrative bail after honoring an invitation in December 2024. He maintained that he is not evading the probe and will present himself once cleared medically to do so. He denied all allegations, insisting they are politically motivated. The former governor appealed for fairness and due process, stressing that he can only effectively respond to the charges when his health stabilizes. The Nigerian Bar Association Ibadan branch has condemned the alleged assault of a lawyer, Oluwaseyi Idowu, at the EFCC Ibadan Zonal Command, describing it as an unprofessional and unacceptable. The incident reportedly occurred after the lawyer insisted on due process in granting bail to a financial institution's representative. According to NBA, the disagreement escalated when a sectional head allegedly insulted Idowu, calling him a fake lawyer, before 3 officers reportedly slapped, kicked, and dragged him outside the premises. Another lawyer present said to have corroborated the sequence of events. The association vowed to pursue the matter to its legal conclusion and demanded disciplinary action against the officers involved. It reiterated that the rights of legal practitioners must be respected and warned that such conduct undermines public trust in anti-corruption agencies. The FCC has pledged to investigate allegation of diversion of local government allocations in Kogi State after members of the Igala Youth Council and civil society groups submitted a petition at the Commission's headquarters. The protesters expressed concern over alleged misuse of funds meant for grassroots development. President of the Council, Onogu Collins, called for an independent audit of allocations received by the 21 local government councils between 2024 and 2025. He alleged discrepancies between released funds and actual spending on salaries and community projects, claiming the situation has crippled essential services. EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale assured the groups that investigators will examine the petition diligently. He encouraged communities to report suspicious financial activities, reaffirming the Commission's commitment to safeguarding public resources. The Kano State Police Command has dismissed a viral video claiming to show the recent arrest of a suspected kidnapper, Ali Kwara, stating that the footage is from 2019. Police said the clip was recorded during an open interview at the Bompai headquarters and has no link to current operations. According to the command, the actual arrest took place in 2019 during intelligence land operations in Tiga and Panchakare, targeting kidnapping and robbery syndicates. The recirculation of the old video, they warned, could create unnecessary fear among residents. The police urged the public to verify security information before sharing online. CSP Abdullahi Kiyawa said misinformation undermines confidence in security efforts and encourages reliance on official channels for credible updates. The legal team of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu has expressed concern after the Federal High Court in Abuja declined to issue a production warrant required to bring him to court. His special counsel, El Aloy Ejimako, said the order was needed for Kanu's appearance to settle records in an appeal before his conviction. Ejimako argued that the refusal jeopardizes Kanu's right to a fair hearing, particularly as he is being held in Sokoto, far from Abuja. He said the distance poses challenges for legal consultations on the preparation of his appeal. Kanu was convicted on 7 terrorism charges on November 20, 2025, after a prolonged trial following his extradition from Kenya. His lawyer said the relocation to Sokoto complicates proceedings and urged the judiciary to ensure fairness and transparency as the case continues. You're watching Aneke TV News across the country. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, a quick reminder of major developments in the news. Nigeria demands immediate restoration of constitutional order in Guinea-Bissau. Federal government unveils real-time digital dashboard to strengthen anti-trafficking efforts. Finance Minister Wale Dun presides over meeting ratifying new customs management appointments. And coming up shortly, Cross River State records 800 cases in 11 months, secures only 5 convictions. Zamfara First Lady flags off 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Anambra State government intensifies enforcement of no street trading policy. We'll be right back.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Still on the news, a federal jury in Wilmington, North Carolina has convicted 34-year-old Nigerian resident Sahid Sunday Owolabi for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. Prosecutors linked him to a syndicate specializing in romance scams and sophisticated financial thefts carried out during COVID-19 pandemic. Court documents show that the group deployed fake female identities to defraud American victims of money and sensitive banking information. Investigators revealed that the bank accounts created for romance scams were also used to launder funds sourced from separate front operations. One incident highlighted in court involved interception of a home purchase transaction during the pandemic, where an unsuspecting buyer was deceived into wiring more than $120,000 into an account controlled by the network. The U.S. Attorney's Office reported that hundreds of victims were targeted in the wide operations. Owolabi faces up to 40 years imprisonment, a $250,000 fine, and 3 years of supervised release when he is sentenced in January 2026. The Cross River State government says it recorded about 800 cases of gender-based violence between January and November 2025, but secured only 5 convictions within the same period. Commissioner for Women Affairs, Edema Irom, raised concern that many perpetrators continue to evade justice while survivors face stigma, trauma, and disrupted education. She spoke at Akampa during the launch of the 2025 16 Days of Activism Against GBV organized by UN Women. Over 100 GBV cases are currently before the courts, but the commissioner noted that weak logistics, inadequate funding, and delayed investigations continue to slow the justice process. She described GBV as a public health emergency requiring coordinated intervention from communities and institutions. The ministry also warned about increasing cases linked to digital luring, with at least 15 incidents recently recorded. Ms. Irom further highlighted the exploitation of minors in cocoa-producing communities as a form of gender-based violence. The Shares team, Unite to End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls, underscores the need for stronger action and survivor support. The First Lady of Zamfara State, Hajiya Hariya Dauda Lawal, has launched the 2025 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, reaffirming her commitment to combating abuses against women and girls. Partnering with the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Development Affairs, she called for stronger unity, accountability, and survivor protection in the fight against GBV. She stressed that digital violence must be recognized and treated as violence. The Anambra State government has intensified environmental enforcement operations, with the Orchard Brigade launching a full-scale cleanup and no street trading exercise across major locations. Leading the operation at the Onitsha main market, Managing Director Celestine Anere warned that offenders of environmental laws would receive no sympathy as the state moves to tackle theft and disease risks. He emphasized that clean and dissected drainage are essential for public safety. The brigade is also enforcing regulations against illegal buildings, particularly structures constructed without catchment pits, which force wastewater onto public roads. OCHA operatives have begun removing shanties and illegal structures blocking drainage channels, contributing to flooding in several areas. The Oyo State government has approved more than 3.3 billion naira for the establishment of the cocoa rejuvenation project aimed at restoring the state position in cocoa production. Commissioner for Information Dr. Oyalade said the 3-year project, valued at $2.7 million, will be executed under a public-private partnership involving the Oyo State Agribusiness Development Agency and the International Institution of Tropical Agriculture. In addition to boosting agriculture, the State Executive Council approved €50 million French loan for the Oyo State Health Care Initiative to upgrade hospital infrastructure and equipment. The Kano Free Trade Zone has generated more than 18.8 billion naira in revenue between January and October 2025. According to the Nigerian Export Process Zones Authority, NEPSA Managing Director Olufemi Ogunyemi disclosed the figures at the Kano Free Trade Zone Investors and Stakeholders Forum, noting that the amount includes 1.8 billion naira from NEPSA and 17 billion naira from customs. Officials attributed the surge in revenue to the one-stop shop system, which streamlines approval from key agencies, including customs, NAFDAC, and immigration. The system is said to be driving investor confidence and accelerating factory operations within the zone. Ogunyemi emphasized that the improved business climate aligns with national efforts to deepen economic diversification. Nigeria has suffered a major blow ahead of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations following confirmation that central defender Benjamin Frederick will miss the tournament due to a knee injury. The injury occurred during a training session with Belgian club Dender FC, where he is on loan from Brentford. Frederick had become one of Nigeria's standout performers during the troubled 2026 World Cup qualifiers. His absence is expected to be deeply felt as he had established himself as a first-choice defender under coach Eric Schell, relegating captain William Troost-Ekong to the bench in several fixtures. Reports from Belgium indicate that Frederick has been ruled out of the rest of the year and will not return in time for the AFCON. The inaugural West Africa Zones A and B Power Games have commenced in Abeokuta, marking a renewed sporting rivalry among regional powerhouses, including Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon. Large contingents also arrived from Benin Republic, Togo, and Niger Republic, while Cote d'Ivoire's delegation is expected to join. The event runs until December 4th. Chairman of the local organizing committee, Victor Achowo, said all logistics have been finalized to ensure a successful tournament. He confirmed the teams had settled into the games village ahead of the opening ceremony. Nollywood actress Nkechi Blessing has issued a public service announcement after being called ugly by a social media troll, declaring that criticism will not stop her from using filters on her page. The actress posted a video and photo of her bare face to address the comment, stating that she would continue using filters as she chooses. She queried why her personal online choices should trouble anyone. Nkechi Blessing has had several confrontations with online bullies, including those who shared unflattering photos of her and mocked her marital status. She recalled the emotional strain of frequent trolling, noting that her late mother often encouraged her to stay strong during difficult moments. Actress Ufuoma McDermott has celebrated her mother's 72nd birthday with a message of gratitude mixed with concern for the state of the nation. Posting photos on Instagram, she thanked God for her mother's life while reflecting on the insecurity affecting many families across Nigeria. She questioned how many citizens would survive to old age amid the rising threats. Ufuoma highlighted the pains of families who have lost loved ones or live in fear due to the country's security challenges. She said her reflection was meant to draw attention to the plight of the vulnerable and the daily risks confronting citizens. And now to end the news across the country, the main points again. The federal government has strongly condemned the military coup in Guinea-Bissau, describing it as a grave threat to democracy and a violation of the ECOWAS protocol. The federal government has reaffirmed its resolve to intensify the fight against human trafficking with the launch of the National Counter-Trafficking Dashboard by NACTIV, Africa's first real-time digital platform for tracking trafficking cases. In Taraba State, the Catholic Diocese of Wukari has raised fresh alarm over escalating attacks across communities in southern Taraba, reporting more than 50 deaths in recent weeks and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of residents. And in Cross River State, authorities have expressed concern after the Ministry of Women Affairs confirmed about 800 cases of gender-based violence between January and November 2025, but with only 5 convictions recorded within the period. And that's news across the country at noon. For breaking news and eyewitness reports, call 070-3043-7110 or follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakaba. Thank you for watching.
God. God is not far. He is in the stillness after the chaos, in the laughter of children, in the stranger who smiled at you for no reason. He is not confined to buildings or books. He walks with us in dust and rain, in heartbreak and healing. He is the answer before we even speak. To seek God is to seek love, and to find God, truly find Him, is to love deeper, live fuller, and give without counting.
From the tiniest cells to the farthest galaxies, life holds secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Why are we here? What connects us all? What unseen forces shape our destiny? Join Professor Jude Udenta as he explores the wonders, the questions, and the revelations that define existence. Mysteries of life, where every answer sparks a new discovery. Watch now on Aneke TV every Monday.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices. Uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Daalụ gị bụ onye ọma ka na-esonyela anyị ọkwa na Aneke TV ka anyị nọ na nke tata anyị na-eji nleba anya na mkpa ọ dị na ndị nne na nna na ụmụ ha na-akpa nkata enwee ka esi anọkọ ọnụ kpaa nkata ọfụma. Naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị maka na mgbe anyị ga-etinyecha ọnụ n'okwu a ị ga-afụ uru ọ dị na ndị nne na nna na ụmụ ha na-akpakọ nkata maka oge ụfọdụ ndị nne na nna ụfọdụ adịghị enwede efe ha na ụmụaka itukwu ọ sị gị I'm too busy ụtụtụ oje ọrụ ụtụtụ nwaanyị eje afịa mgbe a ga-eji wee nata abalị onweghịzi mgbe nne na nna ji akpa nkata. Ọnya ka anyị ji wee sị na tata anyị ga-etinye ya bụ ọnụ okwu. Abụ m Ngozi Ọtahumele ọkwa na Aneke TV ka anyị nọ onye mụ na ya na-eji ikwu okwu wee bụrụ olu maka o si ekwu ya ọnụ na-abụ okwuchi anya ọda gbụwa otu o kwesịrị ịdị. Onye ka m na-ekwu maka ya?
Ọkpataakụ Odoziakụ nne na nne nne onye maka ya na ụmụaka si akpa nkata o wee bụ Lilian nke ọma Agbo. Anyị na-asị gị nnọọ na nke tata. Akpọrọ m ya n'isi achọ m ka nke ọma anụnwa bata maka onye aka ọtụtụ ndị ji wee malụ gị nke ọma. Daalụ rinne. Dịka m si wee kwuo ọ bụrụ ndị oyibo asị gị nọ parents child communication. Ama m na ịbụ ọ bụrụ onye oyibo ọsị gị na ịbụ expert ihe a bụ area gị ebe ọ ga-abịa itinye ọnụ onye na-enene anyị aghọta uru ọ balụ. Mana mbụ ihe m ga-ajụ gị onye bụ nne na nna maka oge ụfọdụ ihe anyị na-afụ onye bụ nne na nna bụ onye mụtalụ nwa. Kedu onye bụ nne na nna ya bụ kedu onye bụ parent?
Daalụ. Nne
na nna bụ nwoke toruru ogo bido na arọ 80 gbago ịbụ onye nwere ike ichekwa,
ikpuchite, ịmụ, ịzụ nwata. Otu a ka ọ bụkwa n'ebe nwanyị. Nwanyị ọbụla toruru ogo site na ogugo afọ 80 gbago bụrụ onye nwere ike ichekwa, ịmụ, ịzụ na ịlakọta nwata ọbụla, nwata nwoke maọbụ nwata nwanyị, ka a na-akpọ nne na nna. Ya bụ ụzọ nke onye ahụ, ndị ahụ bụ ndị mụrụ onye ahụ amụ n'afọ, a ga-akpọ ha biological parents. Nwekwara ụzọ ọzọkwa a na-akpọkwa nne na nna. Nke a bụ ụzọ a na-asị onye nlekọta, onye enyemaka, onye nchekwa. Maka na ọ bụrụ sọnsọ ịmasị na maka na ọ bụrụ ọgụ amụrụ nwa na-eburo nne ya, ọ bụrụ ọgụ amụrụ nwata nwoke na-eburo nne ya. Onye ka njụ esi na o nwere ụzọ nke a na-akpọ biological, nke nwụrụ n'afọ, bụrụ nke a na-akpọ guardian, bụrụ onye ya na nwatakịrị bi, ọ bụrụ onye na-enyere aka. N'otu a ka nne na nna dị n'ebe ụmụaka dị.
Daalụ rinne. Kịta anyị aghọtago onye bụ nne na onye bụ nna, onye nlekọta, ma ọ gị nwa mụrụ ma ọ na ọ bụghị gị nwa mụrụ. O wee na-eweta m n'ebe ahụ anyị nọ na ya ịkparịkọta nkata. Ụfọdụ na-afụ ya ka o nwekwara ihe dị na onye aka bụ nwatakịrị ka ihe mụ na ya na-eje ịkọ. Biko, o nwere uru ọ bara na ndị nne na nna na ụmụ ha, ọ bụ onye nlekọta, ọ bụ onye mụrụ n'afọ, na-akparị nkata? Ma anọkata anọla ha na tinye ọnụ n'ụfọdụ okwu, bikọsụ ihe niile abụghị na a na-akpa nkata n'ọnụ ihe anụnwa.
Ngọ nwanne m, eziokwu nwere ọ dị ezigbo mkpa na nwata ọbụla na onye nne na onye nna ọbụla na-enwe ezigbo mkparịta ụka n'ebe ebe ya na ụmụ ya nọ,
maọbụ ndị ọ na-emekọta nọ, maọbụ ndị ọ na-azụ nọ, maọbụ onye ọ na-enyere aka nọ, maọbụ ebe ndị agbata obi. Ihe a kpọrọ parent-child communication, mkparịta ụka nke dị n'ebe ụmụ na nne na nna dị, bụ ihe bara ezigbo uru, ọkachasị n'otu obodo anyị Naijiria dị ugbu a. Ihe na-anyị fụ na ezinụlọ ụfọdụ ghere oghe nke bụ na onye nna bilitekwa nwa nọla anya ọsị onye ka ị bụ, nasị m nọla anya ibu onye ibichego ndụ nke gị, hapụ nka mbie ndụ na nke a bụ mgbe kwesịrị ibi ndụ nke gị. Ịfụ na mkparịta ụka anaghị adabarụ nna na nwa dị otu a. Onye nne bilitesi gwa nwata jee eje ahịa, tupu m ga-anata mee nka mee ihe dị otu a, ije ahịa nwatakịrị ejere onwero. Ịfụ na mkparịta ụka nne na nwa, nna na nwa kwesịrị ibido mgbe nwatakịrị na-etolite. Mgbe nwatakịrị ndị ụfọdụ na-agwa ndị mmadụ sị ya, ọkwa ịfụ nwa nọ n'afọ ekwesịrị na-azụ nwa nọ n'afọ, a na-azụ ya. Ihe si na a na-azụ nwa nọ n'afọ bụ na o nwere ka nwaanyị dị ime ga-esi o jee ị na-enye ya anya mgbe ụfọdụ fụ ka nwa tururu afọ, ọ na-ekwu ụkwụ. Mgbe ọ na-ekwu ụkwụ a, gị ka nwaanyị a ga-eme ifusi nwaanyị fọrọ nwere aka mee gịnị, o tie ya ome gịnị, ọ kwụsị ọzụzụ. Ọ mago na ụkwụ ahụ ọ na-ekwe ma mụ ya n'afọ ahụ na ọ dịchara mma, mana inwe ike na-asị ọma ihe ọ na-eme. Ifu nwatakịrị ebe mgbe o bido gbebe igbe, ọ na-egbu igbe na-eje n'ebe ihe nkụwa dị, ịrapụ isi ọ bịara nwa hapụ ya dịka ihe na-esogbu nwere ihe ọma, hapụ ya o ji ebe a ọkụwa chụcha ihe ahụ were ya mberu onwe ya ahụ. Mana mgbe ọ na-eje ebe, ọ bụrụ ijekwuru ese were aka tinye n'ike ma ọ nụkwụ ike ebe ị na-eje, ichekwa n'ebe ahụ ọzọ, were ihe ahụ wepụ. Ifu na echi ọma nje ebe ahụ.
Ihe a niile bụ nwunye nkụzi. Ifu mgbe nwatakịrị n'ụtụtụ
nne na nna eteta ụlọ n'ụtụtụ akpọkọta nwatakịrị ekpe ekpere a na-akụ aka na-abụ abụ ihe nkụzi ka a na-akụzi mgbe unu bụchara abụ ahụ eme ihe a na-akpọ morning devotion ekpere ụtụtụ ihe mkparịta ụka n'ụtụtụ mgbe ahụ ibidogo n'ụtụtụ kụziri nwatakịrị na etete n'ụtụtụ a ga-ekpe ekpere etete n'ụtụtụ a ga-asa eze etete n'ụtụtụ a ga-esi ihe n'ọkụ a ga-eme ihe dị otu a ga-azụ ụlọ ihe a niile ka ị na-eme gị na-eme mkparịta ụka ka ị na-eme nwatakịrị ahụ enwere mkparịta ụka nke a na nke bụ n'iru na iru o nwere nke bụ mkparịta ụka nke akshọn ịkụziri ya ka esi arụ ọrụ maka mgbe nwatakịrị na-eto ọ bụ na onwe mkparịta ụka dị otu a mgbe ị ga-ama ihe na-aga ịgwa ozie mgbe o toro eto onwe ya ọ ga-eji ịkpọrọ ụfọdụ bụ ndị nne ụfọdụ na-abụ ha nweta ụmụaka na-enye aka n'ụlọ nke anyị na-akpọ house help ha nọrọ n'ụlọ nwa gị bụ ịma na o toro gị ịrụ ọrụ ezinụlọ ịrapụ ya echi okeke bịa zaa ụlọ okeke fichaa ụlọ okeke tụgụrụ anyị okeke na-esi nri na kichin itiela m nke a ime nke a ime nke a mkparịta ụka ka ị na-eme ị na-akụzi that child nke gị nwa ịrapụ gị echi ihe nwa gị ga-abụ ogoli ị na-aghọta nwa gị onye ga-akachasị malife ga-abụ nwa haus ebe anyị na-akụziri niile mkparịta ụka ka ọ bụ ife ụmụaka ụfọdụ ka m nwere oge m na-eje akwụkwọ ejem skuul na Aneke girls Upper girls na JS3 ka m ji ofuba nsọ nwaanyị natasị mọmi mma na o nwekwara ihe mere na skuul taa ọsị ma ọ gị isi anọ ihe gburu pinafọm uniform ọsị nke nye biọ isi a na-abịa fụba ọbara na arụ nwaanyị ọsị ewo nke ọma itochekwe ịgafere nwoke tụrụ ime ịmasị na mma m akụzie ọ kụzie mụ na ya nwee mkparịta ụka mana mkparịta ụka ahụ ya emeri ọfụma
maka ọkọwataghị
ọfụma o nwere ụfọdụ ezinụlọ ndị nne na nna anyị ga na-emekwa ụdị mkparịta ụka uche ụmụ ha ụbọchị taa
esogobu ya
n'elu ụgwọ ọgwụ m sị m na nnekwe ọ bụ na mụ na nwoke nwee mmekọ nwoke na nwaanyị na nne ọgwa m mana ụbọchị na nsogbu danye na be anyị maka ọ bụ na mma m anọ mụọ na-ebunye mpa m ndị abalị ma o jicha fịọnata mbọsị ahụ esiche m nri buru na ibunye nwanne m nwoke si eje bunye mpa m si na ịmagoro m nwoke ndị gbo a na-amanyikwe ndị a gwa anyị ji vuru ndị vie bụrụ nwanne m nwoke ka m bi ebe ka m nọ mama nọ mụ anọ ke ka m jebi mmegwu na-atọ m eme mbunye mpa m nri
ịtụrụ ime ọ bụrụ ka o si kọwalụ gị
nkụzi ọ bụrụ ka mma m kụzie m ọkụzitewuru m ọfụma ya ọ bụrụ na ịbụ onye nne ka na-enwe ụdị mkparịta ụka n'ebe ya na ụmụ ya nọ wepụ ya na ọ bụchaghị ya anyị bụ ndị nne anyị chi inwe mkparịta ụka na anyị na ụmụ anyị wutuo obi isi nwatakịrị ụfọdụ si ya ihe adịghị n'obi n'oroma ọ bụghị oroma bụ ya na-ara bụ ya na ihe mmadụ emetụkwa aka be dị otu a kwuo okwu imechiri ife ihe dị otu a kwuo okwu mmadụ meghị ihe dị otu a mepee ọnụ kwuo okwu
ịma na o nwee ihe bụ mkparịta ụka daalụrị nne nke ọma agbo m ga na-akpọ gị nke ọma taa maka afọ anụnwa nwee ka o si aba n'ime ọfụma ọ bụ ọzọ nke lili mgbe ọbụla lili ka anyị bụ anya na nke ọma maka nke ọma nwere okwu o ji wee bịa tata gị bụ onye ọma ka na-enene anyị ihe anyị na-ene anya bụ mkpa ọ dị na ndị nne na nna ma ọ bụ ndị nnekọta na ụmụ ha na-akpa ezigbo nkata
ifugo n'ụdị nkata lili nke ọma na nne ya kpara nwoke bụkwa na nwoke gafee gị ịbara awọ ya dị ime ọ bụrụ nne ya ka ọ hụrụ zeche ọ gapara ahụ ọ bụrụ na ụdị mkparịta ụka ahụ ka anyị ṅụọ mmiri ọ bụrụ na anyị ṅụọ mmiri anyị nachita azụ nkata anyị na-aga n'ihu gị bụ ezigbo mmadụ ka na-esonyela anyị ihe anyị na-ene anya bụ mkpa ọ dị na ndị nne na nna na ndị nlekọta na ụmụaka na-akpa nkata ọ bụrụ ndị oyibo sị gị parent child communication onye ka m wee malụ ọ rụtụghị aka n'ebe dị iche iche o nwebe ebe nchọ ịjụ gị mana ịkpatụ gị aka achọbụ m ịjụ gị kedu mgbe nkata a kwesịrị ibido mana ịsa gị na ibu nwatakịrị ebu n'afọ na ekwesịrị ka ebido mgbe ahụ na ọ bụghị mgbe ụmụaka tochara kpọchitebezie ya azụ ada eme eme
dịka anyị kwugoro ọtụtụ ihe banyelụ nkata anụnwa o nwere uru ọba maka ndị ụfọdụ ga-asị ọ bụ na ndị Gen Z generation say what have I got to do with this old person kedu ihe mụ na ya na-akpa o nwere uru ọ bara na ndị nne na nna na ụmụ ha na-akpa nkata gịnị ka a na-eje ịkọ
ngọ nwanne m nwaanyị okwefu ya ụmụaka ụfọdụ ụmụ agbọghọbịa ụfọdụ ụmụ okorobịa ụfọdụ ịma ịfụ tata ma ihe ọfụma bụ ndị na-aga nne na nna ha nso o nwere one boy nwata nwoke be anyị a na-akpọ oche nwa nwoke obere nwa nwoke mana ya na-akpọ ebe oche ihe eji akpụ ya oche bụ na onye dịka anọ holiday ọsị ma nwunye ya na-ana ya ga-ana ụlọ ya chọrọ ije nọnyere papa nnukwu the man bịa ya karụ ụmụnne ya niile ndị nke tọrọ karụ ha marụ ndị be nna ha karịa marụ ihe dị na dia family ọ bụrụ maka gịnị na mgbe ọbụla ọ na-abịa nọnyere papa na-akọrịa di ya na nke a mere nke a dị otu a ndị nwere nna nke a nwere nne nke a otu a ihe a na-akpọzi boy oche o nwere ihe ụfọdụ ọ bụ nwatakịrị ahụ na-akụziri ụmụnne ya ndị tọrịa o nwere ebe ụfọdụ a ga-eje n'obodo ọ bụrụ nke obere ahụ je gosi ya the compound ọ bụrụ maka gịnị ọ na-abịa nso ụmụaka uru dị na mkpakọrịta nne na nwa uru dị ya karịrị ọzọ bụ na ọ ga-eme nwatakịrị onye ya na-akpọ self esteem nwatakịrị ahụ dịka ọgbụ ya ma mgbọji ya ọ na-ekwu okwu n'ogige ọ na-agwa gị na ya ma ihe ya
ma ihe ọ na-ekwu maka oyibo with authority
maka gịnị o wetara okwu ọ mụtara ọfụma n'ebe mama ya na nne ya nne ya nọ akụzieli ọfụma
ọ ghọtaghị ya n'elu
ọzọ bụ ọ ga-eme nwatakịrị ahụ ihe ọbụla isi n'ilo wee bịa na-agụ ya okwu against ndị befa ọma nkweta gị
maka ọ bụghị ihe nne ya gwara ya
ya kụzieli ya ọzọ bụ ọ ga-eme nwatakịrị ahụ dịka ọ ga-ekpuchite ya dịka na-akpọ security personal security environmental security ọ ga-eme that child dịka ọ mago that na mama ya agwa gị ya ka ezinụlọ dị na papa ya agwa gị ya na-ekwu ogbugorobịa ọ mago ihe niile and ọ ga-enye the child trust dịka the child the family not even the child both families ga-afụ ekwesịrị onwe ha ịtụkwasị obi maka gịnị the child na-agwa ha ọsị gị na ya bụ ada amụrụ a na m aga na azụrụ zụọ ya ọfụma ihe na-afụ ya mfụ na azụrụ ya indeed ọ ga-emekwu ma ya ma nwunye ya dịkwa proud of that child ifuru ọ ga-emekwu the child adịkwa proud of her parents of his parents o nwere sọmọ na-abụ after sị gị ya ọ na gịnị mere eji ochi na ọ na-agụ o nwere ihe ha gbagọta na ihe akụziere that child na ọ na-eme ya
akụzieri ya
ọ mụtakwanya na-emekwanya parent child communication mkparịta ụka dị n'ebe etiti ndị nne na nna uru ọ na-eme ọ karịrị akarị
ihe nji wee kweta na ihe anụ nwaanyị na-ekwu dị n'anya ya bụ na o nwee ofu nwatakịrị mgbe ahụ ọbịa were ọbụrụ ndị oyibo shuru homework assignment a na-enye ha ụnụ nalụ unu shi otu a mee ya
nwunye si na ọ na-abụ nya bụ isi ya n'otu ọ sị mba that is not what my auntie said isi ya n'otu a ka ga-esi mee ha ọ sị gị mba na ọ bụghị ha ka ticha kwuru mami ya sị na ihe bụ ịkọrekt nwatakịrị ya na onwe ihe o menya sha mba na ọ bụghị otu a ka ga-esi wee mee chi nwa ọsha that is not what my auntie said
mgbe sị ya na ọ dị ka nke auntie ka ọ na-anụ ebezi ka nke nne jere so ifu ha na ọ ba n'ihe anụnwa ị na-ekwu ọ bụrụ na ya na nne na-akpakọrịta nkata tupu ikwuche nke gị ọ sịghị na ọ ihe a ka nne ekwu nya be kwenye m n'ihe anụ wee ikwu na mana ọ dịkwanụ njọ na nne kpacha onye nkụzi ya na onye nkụzi akpa
ọ dịghị njọ mana ịma na asị na charity begins at home. Nwatakịrị ọbụla kwesịrị ọzụzụ, nwatakịrị ọbụla kwesịrị ibido n'ụlọ maka na ọ bụ ndị nkụzi ọ bụ ha na-ebido ọzụzụ n'ebe nwa nọ kama ha na-enyere aka maka na nwatakịrị na-ebido n'ụlọ wee towe ọkwa from mgbe a mụrụ ya nuenet otoro na-aga tupu nwatakịrị ejebe akwụkwọ ụfọdụ na-eru 2 years plus ụfọdụ na-abụ enye ya 9 months ụfọdụ na-abụ above ifu na o kwesịgo ọnọgo n'ụlọ mụọ ka esi ekwu okwu mụọ ka esi aga ije mụọ ka esi egbu igbe.
Ndị nkụzi izizi enwe bụ ndị nne na nna bụ ndị nkụzi izizi enwe
nne na nna na ezigbo agbata obi ha bụ the first teachers.
Mana ihe nji ekwuri mkpa anụnwa ọ dị bụ oge ụfọdụ akụzichekwa na ụmụaka ọ gịnị kpatakwa na ịnọkọta ị na-asị na onye ha dị emezikwa ka nne ya na ọ bụ ihe nne
ọnọọ n'ọha obodo bụ ihe gbugharịzi ya na ọ bụrụ na ịkụzicheri obido n'oge ma okekwana ihe ọha obodo ga-eji wee chenjie atitude nwatakịrị.
Nji nwanne ịmakwa na ya enwere ihe ụfọdụ na-akpata nwata ịgbanwe na agwa gboo ya o kwefuru a na-akpọ ya environmental factor. Ebe a nọ mụọ nwata oge nwatakịrị nọ wee too oge nwatakịrị na-eje so enyela aka na mgbanwe nwata. O nwere ike ọ bụrụ na nwatakịrị ahụ ka onwe ndị amụrụ n'ime ga-ahapụ ikwu
ndị amụ n'ime ebe
ntị onwe ndị amụ n'ime ọban area o nwekwe ndị ụfọdụ mụrụ ebe a dịkwa good maka mụnwa na onwe m obi ego aka nọ wee mụọ m agwa m adịchaghị njọ ebe a jem skuul n'obi agro primary school jee secondary school m na akpụkpa ntị ike.
So na anyị bụ ndị ogbe anyị nwa bụ ndị amụnye n'ime baraks anyị etoghị na GRA anyị etoghị na GRA.
O nwere ndị ụfọdụ amụkwara ebe ahụ bụ ndị Igbo ikwuo mama ya na-ekwu ofe oge bọtụrụ pịa ihe ma anya ị na-aghọta. So environment ahụ so a contribute ofu n'ime ya. Ọzọ bụ udu enyi nwatakịrị na-eme mgbe ọ na-eto. Onye mere anya nne na nna kwesịrị ijide n'ebe ụmụ ha n'ọfụma. Ọ bụrụ na nwatakịrị nwa gị na-eto ndị ya na-emekọ n'ụlọ akwụkwọ ị na-ajụkwa ha ụdị ndị gị na ha na-anyị n'ụlọ akwụkwọ kere afọ enyi ya friend na klaasị ọ dị ezigbo mkpa. O nwee ka isi nọkọta ọgụrụgụrụ ije school visit mụsị nwa gị na ị chọrọ ịfụ onye ya na ya na-adị na mma ma ọ na-enyere aka maka ọ bụrụ na ọ bụrụ ya enwere ike ịnọ n'ụlọ na-akụzi nwatakịrị ka esi ekpe ekpere ụtụtụ eme ekpere ụtụtụ abalị eme ekpere abalị wee naba ifu na ụlọ akwụkwọ na onye ya na-anyị bụ onye papa ya bụ eze nwoke na eze nwaanyị na-achị ọjị abịa ụlọ akwụkwọ a na-eme ya na-achị ose nsị abịa ụlọ akwụkwọ abịa akụzi ka esi ekpe ka esi achụpụ ose na ka esi eme
achụpụ ndị mmụọ na ndị
mmadụ ga-amụ ihe na-aga ifukwa nwa gị nwoke akwa o nwere ike ọ bụ na ya na chi nke ya soro ọdọkpụrụ ya by time ị ga-amụ ya na nwatakịrị ị na-akọzi nwatakịrị na Jizọs na-abịa abịa ọ sị gị na
ọ bịachagori na ka ihe ụmụaka na-ekwu kịta na chọọchị bụzi scam. Chọọchị bụzi scam ọ bụrụ ihe ọ mụta n'ilo maka onweghị nne na nna ga-akụziri nwa ha na chọọchị bụ scam. Onwero nne na nna ga-emie
ngwa nwanne m nwaanyị ọ bụrụ ya bụ na ebe ọ bụ na ọzụzụ nwatakịrị ọbụla na-enyere aka inye nwatakịrị aka n'ito ọfụma. Mkparịta ụka anyị na-enye nwatakịrị mgbe ọ na-eto na-enyere aka nwatakịrị ito. Udu enyi ọ na-eme na-enyere aka ito. Ebe nwatakịrị na-eje na-enyere aka otuto. Ụdị ihe oyiyo dịka fim ọ na-ekiri na-enyere nwatakịrị aka ito. Agbata obi ihe na-eme na agbata obi na-enye nwatakịrị aka ito. O nwere ike ọ bụrụ agbata obi ebe a na-ewelụ restaurant na mgbe ọbụla ihe na-ana nwatakịrị a ga-eto with that noisy environment. Dịka oje ebe dị quiet ọ ga na-afụta ebe a ka ọ bụghị ebe otu a. Yes
so dịka anyị bụ ndị nne na nna anyị nwee mkparịta ụka n'ebe ụmụ anyị nọ o nwere ihe ndị ụfọdụ ga-enyekwala anyị aka ịzụ ọfụma ebe ụmụaka na-aga environment ebe ha nọ ndị enyi ha na-emekọ na ụmụ ihe ndị a
daalụrị nne anyị afụgo mkpa ọ dị na nne na nna na ụmụ ha na-akparịkọta mana ihe ọzọ nchọrọ ịjụ gị bụ onwe mgbe o kwesịrị ịkwụsị
ka otu a nnọkịta mụ na nne m ọka ga na-akpa maka oge ụfọdụ efu nwatakịrị nke ahụ a gwara ya ọsị na nke nne ya kwuru o togo o wegolu nke ka o jizo onwe mgbe ndị nne na nna ga-abụ agwakọta ụmụaka okwu esere aka
n'eziokwu otu obodo dị kịta ezinụlọ ọbụla kwesịrị ị na-anọ nso n'ebe ụmụ ha nọ oge agago mgbe a na-asị jee wejeru ma ọ jee goteru kịta ka anyị were aka anyị gotebe ihe na-emebi ị ga-afụ nwatakịrị ga na-eto mgbe ọ ga-eru ihe eji mmadụ eme ọba ihe amahụ ife ụmụaka ụfọdụ ụmụ okorobịa anyị ha na-eto mgbe a ga-etoche chọọ ịba uru ọ bụrụ mkpụrụ mmiri ụmụ nwaanyị ụfọdụ onwe nke kpọrọ m na Tuzdee gara aga si matilie biko nyafụbekwe nwa ya nwaanyị nya ntị akpụgụ ndị bụ unu ka ị mara ma onwe ka o sikwa n'aka n'obodo masị m ya chọọ okwu n'ọgba isi imekwe polis repọt ọsị m ya gwa ndị polisi nọ n'akụkụ nsị ọ na-adị agbapụ sị m na ọ na-agbapụ nsị ya na nsogbu dị ọ na-agbapụ onye na onye ka ịgwago na ọ na-adị agbapụ otu a ka anyị si kwugodi agodi ihe m ga-agwa our parents today biko ka anyị bido n'oge kwọwa mmiri dị n'okpukporo ọkpa ka ọ hafụ imechi ọkụkwụ site na ị na-akpọkọ ụmụ anyị nso ọ bụgodị n'abalị na ịnata kpọkọta ụmụ gị si ha kedu ihe unu mere n'ụlọ akwụkwọ taa weta ofu akụkọ ọ bụ tales enwere ike ịkpọ ya tales of moonlight or tales of the star tales of the family itinye ofu akụkọ from ndị ụna na-akọ akọfuru asịzi echi by the time ị ga-amị ya na-aga you feel that you start understanding these children if ha nwa dịkwa more free to discuss with you ma ịgwa gị ihe melụ gaps anyị na-enye ụmụ anyị dị ka karịrị gịnị ka anyị na-achụ akụ na ụba anyị na-agbaga adị achụta ndị onye ga-eri ya ọgwụ ụmụaka ahụ mebichachara onye wee rie ya ụmụaka anyị should be first just like ihe a na-aga asị arụ ike first ụmụaka anyị should be first then before the wealth ka anyị nye na ụmụaka anyị oge ka anyị nye na ụfa anyị na ha na-akparịta ụka ịnọkọta ụfọdụ asị ọ kpọrọ m ga-akpị ya ma nwa gị akpọọ gị kpọọ ya gị bụ onye nne gị bụ onye nna ya ọ na-eri ego ya ụdịrị ụmụ nwaanyị ndị ọzọ nọrọ mma mkpe kpọọ ya ka ị mara ma arụ adịkwa ya gị bụ nwatakịrị nọ n'ilo kpọọ nne gị na nne gị na-akpa ịnọta eju anya mama nke ka ị merụ ma miriwekwa nri ọ dị ezigbo mkpa ka anyị bido n'oge zụba ụmụaka ka anyị bido n'oge zụba ha kpọkọta ụmụaka nso ka anyị bịa ha nso bido n'oge zụba ha maka na nsogbu dịkwa
kịta obodo gasa agasa
bikonu
daalụrị nne Doziakụ Lilian nke ọma agbo na nkata anyị tinyere ọnụ otego aka o ji adị m ka anyị kwuo ihe a maka ọ bara uru na ndị nne na nna na ụmụ ha na-akpa nkata oge ụfọdụ onye ilo dịka isi wee kwuo onye nọ n'ilo asị ya mba n'otu a ka o kwesịrị ịdị o were nke ahụ maka na nne agwarị ya otu nwaanyị bụ ihe gwa m sị m na o nwee ihe selụ nwa ya na ofu nwa ọ sị ya hei kedu ihe mma m ga-eme n'ọnụ ihe a kedu ihe nne m ga-eme ọ bụla onye ya na nne ya na-anọkọ ọfụma ọnụ na ya mere ụdị ha kedu ka nne ya ga-eme mee ka gị na nwa gị na-akpa nkata ka ọ ga-abụ olu echi ọsị kedu ihe nne m ga-eme ma ọ kedu ihe nna m ga-anụ ma ọ n'ụdị ha ebe a na-akpakọ nkata ọfụma udo okwu a na-apụta maka na akụzigori ya o wee bụrụ ebe a ka anyị na-apịachi nke mbọsị tata na anyị pịachiri taa abụghị na ihe anyị ga-ekwu agwụsịala kama na ọ ka anyị dobe nke anyị ga-ekwu mbọsị ọzọ Lilian masị gị daalụ maka isonyere anyị ama m na mgbe ọbụla mkpọ gị na ị na-aza daalụ maka nkụzi a maka mụnwa mụtakwa ọtụtụ ihe na ihe anyị kọwakwa tata abụ m Ngozi Ọtahumele. Ọ bụ na ihe anyị na-eme na Aneke TV na-amasị gị na-esonyere anyị mgbe ọbụla na soshal midia anyị na Instagram na Facebook anyị na TikTok na anya na YouTube na @Aneke TV ebe a ka ị ga-afụ ihe ndị anyị na-eme wee luo mgbe ọzọ anyị ga-akpakwa nkata ka o mesịa.
Speaking at the 4th Enugu Diocesan Synod held at Holy Ghost Cathedral, Enugu, Mr. Obi described the church as a vital institution for moral formation, stressing that education without values cannot build a stable and progressive society. He expressed concern over deepening poverty and insecurity across the country, linking them to the growing number of idle and unemployed youth. Mr. Obi urged churches to intensify skills development, mentorship, and entrepreneurship support for young people. The former governor also criticized the celebration of corrupt public officials in religious spaces, insisting that the church must promote accountability and uphold ethical standards. Highlighting Nigeria's vast uncultivated farmland, Mr. Obi called for greater youth involvement in agriculture to boost food security, drawing comparisons with smaller nations achieving higher productivity. He concluded by urging religious institutions to return to their core mission of raising disciplined, value-driven, and productive citizens capable of transforming the nation over the next 2 decades. I'm Deborah Wakoba, Aneke TV News.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, 042, and a beautiful morning to everyone watching. You're tuned into Sunrise on Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with joy and purpose. And bringing you daily cheerfulness and joy, I'm Deborah Wakoba, coming to you live from our studio here in Vibrant Enugu.
And good morning to you, our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, at home, in your office, or in traffic, or even making breakfast, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, and it's Thursday, 27th of November 2025. And of course, we've got that special edition of Sunrise and also that weather report, trending stories, and that special sunrise vibe to help us on our day.
Relax, grab that a cup of coffee or tea, enjoy the cruise because the sunrise is here.
And coming up shortly today, we'll be kicking things off with our quote of the day with words that are thoughtful, words that are inspiring, and words that help us stay well-driven or stay focused.
Then, it's straight into the day's top headlines of our newspapers. All the key updates you need to remain informed will be served hot and tasty.
Yes, and after that, we'll be giving you the full weather forecast for today, covering cities across the southeast and beyond to know what to expect before you head out.
And later, we'll wrap things up with global updates, celebration and observance to lift your spirits and keep you smiling.
Yes. All right. Now let's move to our morning show inspiration segment. Now, our morning show inspiration segment today is coming from an Igbo proverb where it says, "Water may cover the footprint on the ground, but it does not cover the words of the mouth." I'm going to take that proverb again. That says, "Water may cover the footprint on the ground, but it does not cover the words of the mouth." And now, in simple terms, what it's saying is that action may fade, but words can last. So this quote is trying to tell us to be careful with words that we say, because they said what comes out of your mouth cannot be taken back. Now, what you tell somebody remains stagnant in that person's mind. It remains stagnant in that person's lifestyle. Like, just like when you're abusing a child or where you're talking bad against somebody, now the person used that word to always remember you. Now you're saying that word, those words, and now it's reducing the person's self-esteem. Now this quote, proverb that says, "Water may cover the footprints on the ground, but it does not cover the words of the mouth," is an Igbo proverb that also reminds us that while water can wash away footprints, the things we say, our words, our promises, our insults, our encouragements cannot be erased so easily. So it remains part of the person or whoever you're telling it to. Whether you're promising the person anything, now the person takes it in his heart, hoping and praying you fulfill your promise. Now when you're encouraging somebody, the person takes it and as a motivation to move forward. And also when you insult somebody or you abuse somebody, now the person takes it in, and now this kills the person's self-esteem. Now words are powerful. Just like water washes away footprints, water can wash away anything. But what we say remains, it stays, it doesn't fade. Be it 2 years to come, be it 3 years to come. You on the other part might forget it, but whoever you told about it still remembers it. I would like to know your thoughts on this, Mr. Uche.
You know, I will always start by, praising our forebearers, the Igbos. They always have the words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Whenever you travel on any issue, you encounter words of wisdom from our elders, which Chino Achebe, in his writing, says the palm oil with which we eat words. You understand? So this morning, they're simply telling us to be mindful of our words. What you say, your word represents you more than your action.
Yeah.
That's what you're remembered for. So when you talk to people, remember that what you're doing is that you're communicating yourself in history. That your actions may be forgotten. Just like in this quote, he's saying that water may cover the footprints on the ground, but it does not cover the words of the mouth.
Yeah.
So you, like your footprints, over time, what you're doing with your word is that you're imprinting yourself in history, and that's what you'll be remembered for. Remember, each time in academics or everywhere, when we want to cite people, we'll cite their words. We'll always remember words according to so and so person, say according to Karl Marx, according to Pope John Paul II, according to former Senior President Chubo Kadibo, according to former Governor of Anambra State, according to former Deputy Governor of Enugu State. So you always cite the words of people. Your actions may be forgotten, but the words you leave behind won't be forgotten, and those are the frame upon which you'll be remembered. Yes. So when you speak, when you talk to people, be very mindful of what you say, because when you leave that imprint, you may forget what you've said, but the listeners, the hearers, and the person you've spoken to
will not forget.
It will be imprinted in their mind and in their memory. And human being, at the right time, they will recall.
Yes.
They will remember. Yes, just like when we are told by Uthman Danfodio that the conscience is an open wound, only truth can heal. So when you speak from your conscience. Speak sincerity in humility. How do you want people to perceive you? What part of you do you want to leave behind? So when you put that imprint in people, like Usman Dafodio is telling us, that conscience is an open wound, only truth can heal it. So when you speak words of wisdom, when you speak kindly to people, when you transmit your being into others, remember that it will be remembered. And when you try to be on the path of truth, because when, for example, you are on the negativity and you lie against someone, you frame someone badly, or you try to demoralize someone with your words, in due time they will remember your words. They may not remember your actions, but the things that you say, more than anything, would represent you. Those of us who are in the market, for example, and you're in the habit of telling your customer that this thing, I bought this thing for 50 naira. If anywhere you go, this is 50 naira, I'm just selling it with a little, profit.
Because I like
and
you.
then these are your words, and your customer will hold you by your word. Tomorrow, if he gets another place and sees that, this thing that you say you bought at 50 naira, somebody is selling it to him at 45 naira, for example, he would remember you as that very customer who lies.
Yeah.
Before he would ever come back to you, he'll go back to ask around in the market,
Yes, that's
get
true.
the price before coming to you, if he would ever return. So our ways are powerful. They have a way, the potency to either lift people up or make mad people. So we should be conscious in how we speak to people, especially subordinates, especially younger ones. Remember, I'll keep telling you that that children, especially, how we talk to them matters.
Yes.
You should be conscious of what you say, where they are, and to them. Because I tell you about this Chinese proverb that says that every child is like that piece of paper which every passerby will drop a mark on. And children have this retentive memory that they keep remembering. If I begin to narrate to you things that happened, I was having conversation with my mom, and then I took her back to something that happened. They didn't even take cognizance of the fact that I was around. Do you understand? But they've forgotten. But I placed it on record for her. Look at how the trajectory of what happened. Look at how it happened. Look at the people that were there. And she was shocked. How come? Were you there? I said yes. And I narrated where everybody was seated, where I was. They didn't take cognizance of that fact, but I remembered. This is something that happened when I was way, way little, a little kid. Very insignificant presence. But they didn't take note of that. But I am the bearer of the history of what transpired. And it matters what you say to especially children.
Yes.
Your words can encourage your children to be brighter in life. Your words can mar them, make them to see themselves as misfits, as not equal, as not being able to be competitive with their peers. So the earlier we begin to shape our words, know that words matter. What you say, what you utter will remain behind. It will live longer than you. When we are all gone, the things that we say will more than anything be remembered by most action that we took. That's why, if in closing, I will always let us remember that you will remember what your father said. That's why you hear people, they will say, my father used to say this. My father used to say that. Right? Because words are imprinted in history. So when we are framing it, we should be conscious of what we say, what we utter. Eat your words. Think through it before you utter it. Because that could be a ticking bomb that will destroy not just an individual, it could destroy more than one person. And it will continue to portray how you will be viewed in here and the hereafter.
All right, thank you very much for that. Well, this proverb that says, water may cover the footprints on the ground, but it does not cover the words of the mouth. Now, this proverb is also saying that once words are spoken, they travel, they settle, and also they can either heal or harm somebody, even if the moment we've forgotten that we ever said something like that. Now, this quote is trying to remind us that whatever you're saying, you should be wise in what you're saying. Whatever that is coming from your mouth, like he said, you eat your word, you think about what you're about to say. If this thing is going to encourage this person, if this thing is going to bring down this person, be careful, be slow to speak, and then think about the words that come out from your mouth before they come out. You don't have to say things every time. Now, it's good to be wise. It's good to think about your words, process them first, and know the person you're telling. It might be somebody who has a very bad mentality that you're joking about it, and you tell the person. Now the person takes it the wrong way. So this proverb word today is reminding us that we should be wise with our words, that whatever you're saying, let's try to know if is going to destroy this person, if it's something that is going to encourage somebody, if it's going to shape the person for a better future, and also if it's something that is not going to put you in problem. Because there are some times where you say something, now you just say it without reasoning it, without thinking about it. At the end of the day, that word come back to haunt you. It comes back and you find out that you've entered trouble because of what you said. Yes, and probably when you said it, you forgot it immediately. Now the person carries it, and you don't know. People are mischievous these days, that we might be having a discussion, someone is recording you, so that in case, okay, the person is probably recording you, so that anything that happens, he's innocent. But on the other hand, now you're not innocent because you've said a lot of things, and now you're not careful with the kind of words you speak. You're not careful. Even funny enough, your friends can betray you, but then be careful wherever you are.
But that makes us that when we're speaking, that's why I cited Utman Danfodio.
Yeah.
Right. We'll try to be on the path of truth. And when you're on path of truth, you don't really care if somebody records your words.
Yes.
Because go to Medugri, come back to Bayelsa, your words, if it's true, will stand tall.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
Yes.
So, yes, but the point you're trying to make is very apt, that people, yes, may record your conversation and all that, and your words may come back to hurt you. But that's why we are reminded this morning to be cautious of what we say, our words, because our words has the potency. That potency, like you're trying to bring out, has the capacity to either harm the other person or turn back to you and harm you equally, which is why we need to be very cautious of what we say, what we speak to people. It really, really at times may bounce back as well.
That's true. I thank you very much for that. Well, so in essence, today's quote, today's proverb is trying to tell us that action may fade, but words last. So as you go about your day to day, please let's try to speak the truth. Let's try to speak kindness. Let's be careful of the things we say and speak life to people around you. Not just speak words or say things that is going to disturb them, not say things that is going to destroy or scatter them altogether. Instead, speak positivity. If you don't know what to speak or you don't know what to say, keep quiet. It will not kill. There's this saying that says, what's this saying? Silence is the best answer. Silence is the best answer for a fool. Yes. Now in an environment you might find yourself, now everybody is talking, you don't have to say anything. You can be an observer. I know we said somebody that doesn't speak out for something that is wrong, and whether you should try speaking up for things that are right. But then why speaking up? Be careful on the choice of words you speak. So many people are in trouble today because of the things they say, the way they don't control their mouths. Now you just say anything, you just say anyhow. But instead, this proverb is advising us today that we should speak the right words, we should stand for truth, we should speak truth. In that way, you're confident, you're sure of what you're saying, and not tomorrow you don't remember what you said because it's all a lie. And that is what this Hebrew proverb is trying to tell us today. Do you have anything to say?
There's nothing else to add to this, but that we should be very cautious of our words. If I may conclude by saying, it has the capacity to injure the hearer and even the speaker. It can bounce back to you as well. So be cautious. It may not just be harmful to the one you're speaking to. It may bounce back to hurt you, like you pointed out. But the point here is that be mindful of what you're saying. When you open your mouth to speak life, like you said. Be sincere. When you are sincere, you don't have to be afraid of your words coming back. Be kind with your word. Be steadfast with your word. And in all, communicate humility. Let your words represent you anytime, anywhere. But most importantly, speak the truth.
All right, thank you very much for that. Actually, please try speaking the truth, and also please do not forget that each new sunrise is a platform, is an invitation for us to grow, to try something new, and to try something different, or simply be present in whatever we do. Let us know what this proverb today or this quote today means to you. You can drop your text on our social media handles across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube, or Aneke TV, or you can call our phone number 07030437110. We'll be right back after the break.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Next, we'll take a look at the weather reports across major cities in the southeast today.
Yes, we'll be starting off with Oka. Good morning, Oka. The wake-up call in Oka is cloudy and about 21 degrees Celsius. Expect showers this early morning, then clouds giving way to sunshine around midday and afternoon. Temperatures climbing to a high of about 31 degrees Celsius. A warm afternoon ahead if the sun stays out. Evening cools down to about 25 to 26 degrees Celsius.
Good morning, Enugu, the cold city. Starting out cloudy at 23 degrees Celsius. As the day goes on, hazy sunshine from mid-morning, getting hot and toasty up to 35 degrees Celsius. By early afternoon, temperatures easing down to around 27 to 29 degrees Celsius in the evening.
And in Abakaliki this morning, mostly cloudy and at 24 to 25 degrees Celsius. Gradual shift to hazy sunshine a bit later. Expect warm midday temps around 33 to 34 degrees Celsius. Evening will bring some cloud cover with temperatures dipping to 26 to 28 degrees Celsius.
Good morning, Imo State, and over to Owerri. Nice and coolish at 22 degrees Celsius now. With mostly cloudy skies, early morning may bring a bit of thunder or storms. Then the skies clear by late morning into a sunny, warm midday around 31 to 32 degrees Celsius. Through afternoon, expect some cloud sun mix with a mild evening around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius.
And starting off in Umahia, it starts off mostly cloudy at 22 degrees Celsius. Early hours may bring showers, then shifting to sunshine plus clouds throughout the day. Peak of the day hot, up to about 32 to 33 degrees Celsius, and the evening could bring more rain around 6 p.m. then setting into cloudy or partly cloudy skies with temperatures around 25 to 27 degrees Celsius.
So, wherever you are in Southeast today, stay safe, stay cool, dress light, but remember that rain or shine, we've got you covered. And this is your weather report on Sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll go on a short break and we'll be right with more updates. The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking a look at major stories today from our major newspapers, starting from Nation, Punch, Vanguard, and The Guardian newspaper. Now on today's paper, Nation headline, it says emergency on security, Tinubu OK State Police. And on the Punch headlines, Tinubu declares emergency as NASS rejects bandits negotiations. And on the Vanguard headline says insecurity, Tinubu declares emergency. And on the Guardian headline, Tinubu declares emergency on insecurity, backs governors on state police. And still on the Guardian headline says, lawmakers declare security collapse, seeks death penalty for kidnapping. And on the news today says, Jonathan trapped in Guinea-Bissau as ECOWAS AU condemned coup. And our paper starting from the Punch headline that says, Tinubu declares emergency as NASS rejects bandits negotiation. The big headline is on the President's Security Emergency Declaration, which comes as the National Assembly rejects calls for negotiations with bandits. Lawmakers insist that dialogue is no longer an option, pushing instead for stronger military and state-led action. The debate is heating up nationwide, with citizens divided on what the next steps should be.
All right. Looking at this headline, we've been all on about insecurity in Nigeria for a while now, and then this time seeing this headline now, gladdens my heart and makes me feel that yes, the presidency is listening. That we'll have, after all, a listening president, coming out this time to boldly declare state of emergency on insecurity all over the country. It gladdens my heart. Yes, for the first time, I feel that the press in Nigeria, that the generality of Nigerians are being heard. And that is quite commendable for the president to come out this morning, in the headline to declare a state of emergency, and to hear the National Assembly equally taking a cue, debating and talking about it, is quite commendable. That, yes, given the myriad of security challenges that we face in this period of time, that the president, have listened. Remember, we're talking about what's been transpiring in KB, where school children were kidnapped. We are talking about how many school children? You're talking about 25 school children. Children who left their family to go acquire knowledge, being subjects of heinous crime by these bandits, these terrorists, is quite disheartening. And when you travel through KB, go to Niger State, the same story of insecurity everywhere. We talk about attack in a Catholic school where a number of persons were equally kidnapped. Look at the killing equally in Kwara. We're talking about Yeruku, where worshippers were killed and a good number of them kidnapped, though some have been returned, right? But travel through Nigeria, yesterday we were talking about numbering about 20 they kidnapped between Kano to Kogi State, for example. You have a number of persons, and this is not bringing it in total view. What I'm trying to make here is that when you traverse the length and breadth of this nation, everywhere reeks of insecurity. The challenge now is that the bandits, as if they're beginning to, have a field day against our armed forces, when the attention of the world is on Nigeria concerning insecurity. A lot of persons begin to argue that the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern by the United States and the ongoing debate on the issue has somehow emboldened the bandits to begin to launch onslaught against soft targets, especially our young school children. And when we interrogate this issue, we begin to feel that perhaps they are afraid that the United States government, as declared by President Trump, is going to put boots on ground, and they want to use these children as a shield against any onslaught. Be that as it may, we've seen that line of reasoning is not far-fetched by the fact that even our armed forces cannot, engage directly to the enclaves of these terrorists because they are afraid that these children may be used as shield. The kidnapped victims may be used as shield when they try to confront these bandits frontally, through kinetic approach. And it becomes more worrisome when this is not just happening in one state. Let's say the government will try to engage in perhaps in Kwara, and then next minute you begin to hear about other actions in KB. And it's quite very encouraging that the president has mandated the military to condone up this forest that is said to be very vast and deep, with settlements all across, that it becomes very difficult to police, and giving the terrorists the opportunity to strike from one community to the other due to the vastness of the forests, the communities are well scattered, that policing becomes a very serious issue, and then that's why we begin to hear kidnapping here and there, and it's easy for them to retreat into the forest when the security forces come against them. So, but hearing the most by this president this morning is quite encouraging, that he has ordered a joint, military task force and onslaught against the insurgents by first of all condoning these vast forests, making it difficult for these bandits to be able to move freely, to come out and attack the villages. And with that, he has ordered 24 hours area surveillance in these very troubled spots, and this is quite commendable. But hearing this morning the orders emanating from president equally as to the police and the army to to be on a high alert, even to recruit more personnel into their fold in order to combat and confront these challenges, speaks well that yes, like when I started, that we not have a president that listens. And beyond this, he has equally ordered the DSS to activate the forest guard architecture to oversee that yes, they are reactivated, that the criminals do not have a field day traversing through our deep forests all over the federation. And with that in place, I can tell you that security situation, the challenges will begin to be checked properly, where the insurgents will not be able to move from one state, one community to the other, because we are told these individuals, they do not use the normal route, they only come to the public domain, strike and retreat deep into the forest. So with the forest guard being brought into place, we will begin to see that their movement will be checkmated. And against that, the president has equally gone further, instructing both the armed forces and the police to begin to recruit more men into their fold, that they should equally increase the capacity in terms of numbers to be able to confront the bandits, the terrorists, these insurgents, wherever they are. And that is quite commendable. We keep speaking to the fact that I will feel that there should be more, recruitment of men into the force, to show up their capacity to carry an onslaught against these people. And we've argued that we expected that should be the first action of Mr. President as part of his campaign speeches during the electioneering period, when he was campaigning for this coveted seat, and that we expected that once he gets into that seat, that he would implement that action immediately. And now it seems that he's listening, because you remember when he made that popular statement that you recruit more men, more people into the army, what would they eat? Corn, abado, right? Cassava, yam. And now we are beginning to see that, because we expected that, yes, he will recruit massively, speaking for a country that is talking about underemployment, and will have the vast majority of our population as youths who are unemployed, and we know that a number of them will be happy to enlist in the armed forces and the police. So now that the directive have come from the president, the military, the police should see that this recruitment is not just the usual recruitment that we have, where it's about who knows who is your father, what is your surname, what's your contact. No, this time, as against the challenges that we are confronting, insecurity, kidnapping, traversing across the length and breadth of this nation. I keep telling you that when you travel through the regions, there is one security crisis there and then. When you come to the southeast, for example, there are instances, the cases of kidnapping. Yes, so with this recruitment, now we'll have a good number of men to begin to police the environment. It's quite gladdens my heart that the president has instructed that the the police assigned to VIPs be withdrawn, and we saw the number rising up to 100. With that, he has ordered the retraining of these officers, that they should be retrained and debriefed, but you understand, then be properly deployed into battle fronts where they will confront these challenges. And these are steps in the right direction from Mr. President. And you can see I'm excited this morning, seeing that, yes, there are actionable plans that will be implemented to see that this level of insecurity that we are witnessing will be brought to a very minimum. if there's no part of the world where you see that there are no security challenges, even the America that is coming to help us fight insurgency and security challenges, they have their own security threats. They have their own security challenges at home. So, but what we are saying that is that this issue be brought to the barest minimum. And I feel that with the approach that the Mr. President has outlined, we would very soon begin to see results in this part. But I call on the police, I call on the armed forces to see that these recruitments are transparent. They are carried out transparently, bring in equitable men, who would take pride in serving the nation, not based on connection. And that reminds me, when you go back to read the book from Frederick Forsyth, Aneke, in that book you remember that Odimegwu Ojukwu, in that era, being a graduate, they forced to enlist in the Nigerian army. When the profession was seen to be that of people who never do well in society, and a graduate coming to enlist in the army, you would see from that book that enlistment in the army was very transparent, open for everybody. You don't need to have a surname or come from a well-to-do background for you to be admitted. You don't need a note from a senator or from your governor for you to be enlisted in the army. When I read that book and then began to relate it to what is happening now, against that background is why I advise in the army that we should go back to the root of the way we really do our recruitment from the past, where things are transparent, right? Because when you listen to a number of young men, especially from some parts of the nation, it's difficult for them to get enlisted into the army. Apart from those of us who have certain talent that is required by the security forces that will be approached, you understand, most of them who on their own have interest may not get there based on the region where they come from. But we'll tell them this morning that it should be transparent, that when you have people from across the region, it becomes, the cohesion makes it easier to begin to fight any security challenge that will arise. So this morning, I am in cohort with those who are commending the action of Mr. President, and I feel that this action will yield significant result in no time if carried out properly. And to this, I am so excited for Mr. President, in as much as his action plans are implemented, are put in place and implemented wholeheartedly without reservation. With this, you begin to see that the porous borders that we talk about will be well checked. And I am so happy that the insurgents in this regard will be confronted head-on, especially with the National Assembly equally beginning to speak about it. We are no longer shying away from speaking about these insecurity issues. When you talk about it, it's not about challenging the government or not aligning with the government. No, we are all speaking with one voice. This is a challenge that we are facing as a nation, and every nation in the world has their own challenges. But rising on this occasion, and this government realizing that yes, all of us are speaking for the good of Nigeria, and that all hands needs to be put on deck, like the president has ordered everybody to be security conscious wherever you are, even if you're a civilian. So now they realize that we are all clamoring for one thing and we are all pulling together. I am excited, and I feel like I've just said that in no time we'll begin to see significant results in confronting these challenges of insecurity.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now we're moving over to our next paper, coming from The Nation headline that says, Emergency on Security, Tinubu OK State Police. Now President Tinubu has officially approved the move towards state policing as part of a broader security emergency plan. With rising concerns across the country, this step is aimed at giving states more power to combat insecurity head-on. Analysts say this could mark one of the biggest shifts in Nigeria's security structure in decades. Mr. Auche, I would like to know your take on this headline.
All right. It's still part of what we're talking about, speaking about the president declaring state of emergency on insecurity, and now giving the direct order that it's time for us to begin to look into the issue of state policing. And if I'm to quote Mr. President directly, he said, I call on National Assembly to begin reviewing our laws to allow states that require state police to establish them. This is quite commendable, David, like I was talking about. And then hearing Mr. President, I continue to say that, yes, Mr. President, I feel that we are heard. that the generality of Nigerians are being listened to. Remember that this clamor for state police is not something of today. It's been at the front burner over time, with people clamoring for state police, and the Mr. President, having listened, is now mandating the National Assembly to begin to expedite action to see that, yes, there are enabling laws that will allow for state policing in Nigeria. When we talk about state policing, you know, when you listen to our security forces, our leaders, you hear that this issue of Nigeria being on the police and having people who know the terrain very well is quite important in combating crime. And with this in place, I can tell you seriously that Mr. President has taken the right steps in the right direction to curbing insecurity in Nigeria, and it's now left for the National Assembly to do the needful. When you look at the clamor for state police, you will see that almost across the length and breadth of Nigeria, almost every region in Nigeria is in support of having state police. Yes, when you listen the socio-cultural organizations across Nigeria, talk about the Omo Duduwa, talk about the Arewa Consulting Forum, talk about the Ohanese, and Pandef and Co. You will see that at one point or the other, they've all clamored for state policing. So I believe that this will get a wide support for Mr. President coming out this time around to give that order for state policing to be looked into. And this, you know, remember, there's already in place the establishment of things like Amatokun in the west. We will have Ebubagu in the east. These are what we are talking about, state policing. But what we're asking now is having the enabling laws that will back it up. That yes, when you establish this, you have the enabling laws, then they will be emboldened to take direct actions to confront insecurity. Remember that is in this region, in the states, that then everyone know their community better than any other individual. So when you have policemen from your state, they will better combat crime, like against the tradition that we have, where you may have somebody from Sokoto being the commissioner of police in Enugu, where he doesn't know the terrain, he doesn't understand the language. It becomes very difficult for him, and he will only rely on reports. And at times, you know that this report may not be accurate. But when you have someone, an indigenous of an area, policing crime from that place, you will see that they will be very effective in combating the situation. And this, for me, is quite apt. You remember, we always cite the case of that former governor who challenged this nation that throughout his time in office, that there was nothing like a bank robbery or crime of repute, because he empowered the local vigilantes community by community, so that it was so difficult that when you commit a crime in one community, before you get to the next one, they've been radioed and they are waiting for you. They will just nab you instantly. And this is what this is going to do for us, and it's quite timely. But the call now should be on the National Assembly, as Mr. President has directed, that they begin to expedite action and begin to engage the state legislatures themselves, so that equally at the state level, everybody will come in tandem and see that this is giving the necessary speed that it's required, you know, to take off. And speak about not just fighting crime, I'm all about the issue of employment in Nigeria. You'll see that this will open up the space, and a lot of individuals will be employed into the force. People will be engaged as well, engaged meaningfully. Where we're looking at the federal police, you know, according to the president, that they should recruit this period about 20,000, and they will scale it up later to 50,000, mandating them to make use of the NYC facilities that we have in the nation as a training ground for this personnel that will be brought in, right? You see that this is a step in the right direction. When the federal are recruiting this number, and at the state level, you equally have recruitment for state policing as well. That will take a number of people away from the streets. And you see that when you take this maximum number of men away from the streets, look at every state in this instance. There's no way you tell me that if this law is brought into being and is backed, that the states won't recruit at almost of 10,000 individuals into forming a state security, and that will, you see, that number will have a very positive impact on its own, a multiplier effect on the society, and it's quite commendable that we'll look into it. The only place I beg to differ is that it doesn't have to be willing, you know, where the president said any state that is willing, you understand, that requires state police. For me, I think it should be, yes, it should be, you know, something that we all go into once. Let the law be such that every state will go into implementation almost at the same time. With that, we won't hear about insecurity in Enugu while Abia State is safe. No, when we go into it generally with the necessary legal framework that will protect from abuse and misuse of state police, then we'll encourage every state to embrace that. A lot of people may argue about funding with this, but in this administration, we've heard that the subnationals, have more funds available to them compared to their previous governments that have been in place. So with that, I believe, and what are the governors doing with the security votes that they have, if not for security? So with that, part of it could go into remuneration, mobilization, and equipping of state policing as well. So for those who argue to abuse of the use of the police in this regard, I should think that they should not be disturbed a lot, because with the necessary laws, it will be difficult to be abused by states. But this is a step in the right direction for us to begin to look at the issue of state policing, community policing, because with the level of insecurity, crimes that is happening in Nigeria, I bet you that the federal police is overwhelmed. And when you go to other crimes, go to the United States that we'll talk about, it's not just federal police. You see statures like the state police that we'll talk about. You see even what you have as community police as well. So that's a step in the right direction. It's something that is practiced across the globe. And Nigeria being multi-ethnic nation, this will be a step in the right direction as well, where you have people from the communities as part of the security architecture. Nobody would want anybody to come in and destroy his own village when they are watching. So they will be there, helping the federal police to ensure security of life and property across the length and breadth of the nation. And with that, I will tell you that insecurity would be reduced to the barest minimum in Nigeria, and crime rates would equally be reduced. Kudos to Mr. President for this, and this is step in the right direction. But we encourage the National Assembly to take the decisive action.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now I'll be moving over to the next news today that says Jonathan trapped in Guinea-Bissau as ECOWAS AU condemn coup. And internationally, former President Goodluck Jonathan reportedly got stuck in Guinea-Bissau amid political chaos following a coup attempt. Both ECOWAS and the African Union have strongly condemned the development, calling for calm and restoration of constitutional order. Mr. Ocha, I would like to know your thoughts.
It's quite unfortunate for Guinea-Bissau, as this West African nation. It's quite unfortunate. This is a nation since independence that has experienced over 3 coups. Yes, they've experienced about 3 or 4 coups since independence, and it's quite unfortunate. These are the ones I'm mentioning. I'm talking about the successful ones. Not talking about the multiplication of coup attempts that they've experienced as a nation, and then coming at this point in time when they are into electionary process. The election were ongoing. We are waiting for the announcement of results. The citizens have voted in this very election, waiting for results to be announced, and then we are now seeing the truncating of the democratic process in that country, where the military has come out to, declare that they've taken control of the state in further notice. It's quite unfortunate for the people of Guinea. But this is why we will continue speaking to politicians to be mindful of their action. Remember that in this very election, the sitting President Omaro Embalo, and the opponent Fernando Diaz, each of them came out to declare victory in this election even before the results, before the results is being announced, because we are waiting for this result to be announced, and everybody is claiming victory, and that is part of what I will tell you that will trigger the military to spring into action, take the opportunity to take over the country. Though the military General Dennis, who announced the coup, was citing that they've intercepted intelligence about plan to disrupt the peace of the nation by the use of drug lords who are beginning to bring arms into the country. and all that, as citing that as a reason why they've stepped up to take control of the leadership of the nation. And it's quite unfortunate that this is a period where we'll have election observers, talk about the AU and the EU, the ECOWAS observers who are in the country monitoring the election, and this coming up after they've secured the commitment of these both parties to abide by the result of this very election. And this is happening, and we've listened to the AU leader led by Philip Nyosu and Issa of the ECOWAS, and then that's why you see the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, there, because he is the one leading the African Elders Forum in that very place. That's why he is there at this point in time. But against the fear of people, I am quite sure that nothing will happen to them. And in due time, they will return to their countries. Yes, President Goodluck will return safely, because that's the concern of many people, why he's being trapped in the nation where there's a queue, there may be chaos and all that. But I know for sure that nobody would want to act funny where these elder statesmen are. Yes, he has gone there to see that the election was conducted peacefully, democratically. But it's quite unfortunate that at the end of the day, we are hearing the military coming to take total control of the country, you know, truncating the democratic process as being witnessed in this very nation. And as the ECOWAS and the AU are being called upon by the secretaries and the commission for the West African states to take control, condemn the coup in Guinea-Bissau, we hope that they will listen. But against the tide of what has been happening around the Sahel states, we really wonder if they would listen and, you know, return the country back to democracy. It's quite unfortunate that the more we encourage more nations, more people to embrace the democratic process, that it seems that most African nations are slipping back into dictatorship and military rule. And when you listen to General Dennis, he was saying that the combination of the armed forces of the nation are going to take control of the rule in that nation. But against the democratic will of the people have come out, they voted in mass, and they are waiting for the result to announce. And then next thing you hear the announcement of Q. After gunshots were heard at the presidential palace, and people are being held in Communicado as we speak. And as we are talking, press freedom is no longer granted because they've placed embargo on all press-related issues at the moment. So it's quite unfortunate, but we hope that from the pressure from AU and the ECOWAS would perhaps make them, you know, capitate and return the country back to a democratically elected leader. And that's the path to go. But quite unfortunate.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much for that, and also thank you very much for staying with us to this moment. And don't forget that you could grab physical copies from any of your favorite vendor or catch the e-paper online for more broader information. We'll be right back after the break.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the broad mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking the sports news. The Nigerian Table Tennis Federation has protested to the International Table Tennis Federation after Nigerian youth players were denied visas for the World Youth Championship in Romania. Nigeria had qualified to represent Africa in both the under-19 and under-15 boys categories. NTTF President Adesoji Tayo described the visa refusal as discriminatory and a setback to the development of young Nigerian athletes. He said the team had undergone an extensive preparation and incurred substantial expenses ahead of the competition. Tayo urged the global body to intervene urgently, warning that Nigeria should not be penalized or financially burdened for a withdrawal forced by circumstances beyond its control. As still on sports, Falcon Corporation Limited has secured a significant investment from Energy and LLP, a subsidiary of Evercorp Industries aimed at expanding Nigeria's gas infrastructure. The investment following the acquisition of equity previously held by BKM and S Consult Limited, signaling investor confidence in Nigerian gas markets. And still on sports, the 2025 Adova Handball Premier League Phase 2 commenced in Lagos with an intense opening round at Royal Park Sports Centre. The men's category witnessed a dramatic 26-26 draw between defending champions Toj Marine Handball Club and Kowas Shooters, signaling a competitive season ahead. Other matches saw Safety Shooters defeat Ocean United 25-15, while Rima Strikers overpowered Benue Buffaloes 36-16. And now that is your news on sports.
And then more updates on the Champions League matches that were played yesterday. We had FC Copenhagen beating Almaty 3-2. And then moving over to the other matches that were played across the Champions League as well. We had Arsenal beating Bayern Munich 3-1. And then we saw the champions, the defending champions of England, being thrashed by the visitors, PSV Eindhoven. Quite unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
And then giving you more updates on matches to be expected that will be played today. We'll look at AS Roma visiting being visited by Midtjylland, and then Aston Villa will host Young Boys in their match day. We'll have FC Porto playing host to Nice from Italy, and then we'll have Fenerbahce hosting Ferencvaros and Feyenoord hosting Celtic. And then at the other in France, we'll have Lille hosting Dynamo Zagreb later today. And that's it for the sports updates on football.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now we'll be moving over to our celebration for today, which is the International Day of Engagement in Science for Sustainable Development. Now today, the world is shining a spotlight on a key celebration, the International Day of Engagement in Science for Sustainable Development. This day is all about reminding us that science isn't just for laboratories or textbooks. It is a powerful tool that shapes our daily lives, our environment, and our future. Science plays a major role in solving global challenges from climate change, clean energy, and food security to public health and technology. And then today's observance encourages everyone, government, schools, communities, and individuals to participate actively in scientific learning and innovation. Now, what does they promote? It promotes awareness, helping people understand how science drives sustainable development, and also the engagement, inspiring young people to study science and pursue careers in STEM fields. The innovation today is encouraging the creation of new ideas and technology that protect the environment, and also bringing researchers, policymakers, and communities together to solve real-world problems. And why this day matters? It matters because without science, the world cannot effectively tackle issues like pollution, poor health systems, natural disasters, and poverty. Sustainable development depends on informed decision, and science gives us facts and tools to make those decisions wisely. So as we step into today with purpose, let's remember that science is not far away from us. It's in our farms, our hospitals, our roads, our gadgets, even in the water we drink. This day invites us to stay curious, stay informed, and support innovations that makes our world cleaner, safer, and more sustainable. So happy International Day of Engagement in Science for Sustainable Development to you all. And up next, we'll be taking a look at our business reports.
All right, next we're looking at the stock market, the Nigerian Stock Exchange market, as at yesterday, the Nigerian stock market experienced a slight rebound, breaking a 6-day long streak. The all-share index appreciated by 0.10% to close at 143,763.13 points. And then, talking about the market capitalization, the market gained 94.47 billion, closing at 91.44 trillion. Then the market made a statement. Things turned positive with 26 advancing stocks outweighing 20 decliners. Then the key drivers yesterday in the market who had the positive close coincided with the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee decision to hold benchmark interest rate at 27%. Now let's take a look at the top 5 gainers. Leading the gainers yesterday was ICO Insurance. ICO Insurance closed with the price at 3.52 naira, again making a percentage change of plus 10%. And then we'll look at NCR Nigeria PLC on the second place of the gainers yesterday, closing at 49.70, making plus 9.96% change. And then next is Ikeja Hotel PLC, which closed at 25 naira, making plus 9.41% change. And then we'll look at Prestige Assurance Company PLC that closed at 1 naira 60 kobo, being traded with the name Prestige, making a percentage change of plus 7.38%. And then we had Sterling Holding equally in the range. And then we'll take a look at the top 5 losers at the stock market as at yesterday. We had Len Africa PLC, which is traded as Len Africa, closing at 5.22 naira, 5 naira 22 kobo, making a percentage change of minus 10%. And then next losers in the list is Cabri Nigeria PLC, which is traded as Cabri, closing yesterday at 53 naira 10 kobo, making a percentage change of minus 9.92%. Then over to Mayor PLC, which is traded as Mayor, closing yesterday at 14 naira 55 kobo, making a percentage change of 9.91%. And then we'll look at another loser in the list is UPDC PLC, which is traded as UPDC, which closed yesterday at 5 naira 47 kobo, making the percentage change at minus 8.83% yesterday in the market. And that's it for this and the stock market update.
All right, now that's all for today's edition on Sunrise on Aneke TV. It's always a pleasure having you here on our show every morning, and please do not forget to follow us across our social media platforms across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, all at Aneke TV, or call our phone number 070-3043-7110. I'm Deborah Wakoba.
And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Keep watching Aneke TV to come your way same time. Bye-bye.